Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. The Empress of Sarian, Elmgia Elru Sarian, is making her way to Tempest. Hearing this, Rimuru looked gobsmacked. Though I was mostly curious, I've heard quite a lot about the elves, whether it is from Rimuru or Ramaris. The elves are all descended from the true ancestor of the elves, Sylvia Elru, according to Ramaris. Sylvia Elru is another result of Twilight Valentine's experiments on Veldin of his orders. Sylvia Elru, Luminous Valentine, Grand Dwargo, along with a couple others, are all the progenitors of the various races that inhabit the Cardinal World. Each race was created in Twilight's experiments for creating the ideal race for Veldinova, apparently according to Ramaris that ended up being humans. This world's history was quite something, and Ramaris knew a whole lot about it, seeing as she was one of Veldinova's earliest creations. Ugh, I thought only Erald and Ran would come, but I guess I didn't put any specific names on the invitation, said Rimuru. I don't think that would have stopped her. If the Divine Empress Elmgia is coming here, that is bound to draw attention. I'm sure everyone in attendance will send word of her arrival here back to their home countries. Elmgia is an opponent none would willingly provoke, commented Gazel in a defeated tone. He must have some history with her. Elmgia must have made quite the reputation for someone as strong as Gazel to be wary of her. From what I know, the Sorcerer's Dynasty Sarian is ruled solely by Elmgia. Though just as the term dynasty applied, it was a federation formed by 13 royal families. Elmgia has declared herself a descendant of God, which is kind of true seeing as she is a descendant of a true ancestor, though I'm unsure if Elmgia herself has awakened attaining divinity. Since Elmgia has claimed to be a descendant of God, she has forbidden worship of other gods in Sarian, which has put her on the bad side of the Western Holy Church. Sarian has been around for over 2,000 years and was restored by Elmgia after the original Ultra Sorcery Kingdom, which was the home of the elves, was destroyed by Milim during her awakening. They are the ones basically responsible for Milim's awakening after all. Anyway, after the Ultra Sorcery Kingdom was destroyed, Elmgia gathered all the royal families together to create a dynasty. According to Ramaris, Elmgia's father used to be a true hero, though he vanished after he went to slay the Chaos Dragon that was rampant in the Ultra Sorcery Kingdom on Milim's orders. I assume he is dead. Once all of the royal families were united under Elmgia, they each formed their own kingdoms under her dynasty. The 13 kingdoms are left alone and are allowed to do as they please, though they are not permitted to have any sort of military, as the sole command over the military remains with Elmgia. One of Sarian's main specialties was homunculus. Homunculus allow individuals to imbue their spirit into the fake body, allowing them to venture somewhere without any true danger to their person, as their spirit will just return to their original body whenever the homunculus is slayed. Well, let's go greet our guest then. Rimuru then turned to look at me. Did you want to come, Felix? I am curious about the Empress of the Elves, so why not? Yeah, I'll tag along. Rimuru nodded and led us out, though I made a quick stop at our table and told everyone I'd be back in a little bit. Milim looked ready to protest, but I distracted her with some of the sweets that were now being served. We made our way to the entrance to the capital city of Tempest, as there was more open ground available. Hopefully Elmgia will sense us waiting here and direct her Dragon King to land here. Having a Dragon King landing in the middle of Tempest is bound to catch a ton of attention after all. Still, to have tamed a Dragon King, this Elmgia must be at least at Gazel's level, likely far higher seeing as she is far older than him. The 3 of us continued to chat a bit while we waited, though we didn't need to wait long. All 3 of us looked up as a massive bipedal dragon descended into the clearing in front of us with a carriage connected to it. That's quite the entrance. I can give her points for that much at least. Do not get careless, Rimuru, she is like a vulture who will pounce on any sort of weakness, advised Gazel. Rimuru nodded. The door to the carriage opened and out walked an androgynous high elf, one with the standard pointed ears the elves are known for, as well as pale blue-silver hair and green eyes. Her appearance was one that could be mistaken for that of a child's, though through my Milim eye I could tell her soul was over 2,000 years old. The so-called Divine Empress confidently walked towards us with Erald and Ren trailing alongside behind her, both with apologetic smiles on their faces. Hey, I could tell this would be an interesting time. Chapter 106, The Festival Begins. Elmgia's guards stayed behind with the Dragon King, who seemed to be well tamed. Each of her guards was wearing legendary grade armor, quite impressive. Elmgia stood in front of us and greeted us with a serene smile. I am thankful for the invitation, Demon Lord Rimuru. Huh, she had a naturally charming voice. I too am honored to meet you. Rimuru responded. After she greeted the sovereign of this territory, she looked at me with interest shining in her eyes. I could sense Elmgia's haki leaking out from her in waves. It wasn't even intentional, she just passively leaked a minuscule amount of her hero's haki. Though from the strength of her haki alone I could tell she was more powerful than Gazelle. Notice. Mind interference has been directed and interrupted. It seems to just be an effect of the high elf Elmgia's hero's haki seeping out. So not an intentional attack then. Correct. She was at least at the level of an awakened demon lord. She was a saint and a damn powerful one. Quite impressive. She did not possess any divinity though, but I wouldn't be surprised if she has some sort of god-grade equipment hidden somewhere. Along with that, I sense something quite interesting within her, an ultimate skill. She must be someone special to have one of those. Demon Lord Felix. So you are the one who took little Leon's former territory then? She commented. I raised my brow in confusion. Leon's territory? I asked. Elmgia nodded. She looked like a proud older sister explaining something her younger sibling did. It seems she possesses an ample amount of big sister energy. Yes. Before Leon moved to his current territory, El Dorado, he was originally the neighbor of the former demon lord Kazlim. Kazlim did not take well to Leon's declaration of being a demon lord and left to challenge him with his army. I nodded along. I already knew most of this story but didn't mind hearing it again from Elmgia. From the way she referred to Leon, they must be quite close, so she might have some insider information. Leon ended up single-handedly destroying Kazlim and his army before claiming his territory as his own. Eventually he moved to El Dorado and Clayman took over that area. Informed Elmgia. I already knew basically all of that except the fact that my territory used to be Leon's before Clayman took it over. Well, the more you know. I noticed that Rimuru looked quite surprised, though Gazelle seemed to already know this story. Rimuru is just often uninformed about this world's history. He should really fix that. He has easy access to Ramaris after all. Even Veldora likely knows a ton. I already knew most of that, but thank you anyway. I responded. Elmgia perked up. Hee, it's no problem. Isn't she supposed to be some super well-respected ruler? Why is she acting like this? I guess everyone has their own quirks though. It would be boring if she was some super serious and strict ruler. She might be more fun to mess with like this. Seeing as we were done talking, Rimuru spoke up. There is currently a banquet going on. While the food may not be what you are used to, the chefs have worked very hard. I hope that you will enjoy yourself tonight. Elmgia smiled. I am grateful for the consideration, Rimuru. Can I call you Rimuru? She asked. Rimuru nodded. Very well, you may call me Elmgia then. Same with you, Felix. I nodded. Establishing some sort of relationship with one of the most respected and feared women in the world can only be a good thing. Who knows, maybe I will be able to expand our trading relationship. I don't personally care too much about all that, but maybe the people of my territory will benefit from such a thing. Clayman already traded with Sarian a good amount, so we inherited that relationship and have kept to the same deal, but maybe Arcuaid will wish to modify that agreement. I look forward to the rest of the festival that will take place in the following days. Ellen has said quite a lot about Tempest. I hope it holds up to her praise. Said Elmgia. Rimuru nodded confidently. We will try our best. But who is Ellen? Elmgia tilted her head. You may know her as Ren. Her true name is Ellen. Rimuru nodded. I see. One more thing. There is something I wish to talk about in a more confident setting. If you don't mind, at a later date with you two, you may attend as well, little Gazelle. Said Elmgia. Hey, little Gazelle. I can see Gazelle's face twitching slightly. They definitely have some history. Alright, I will inform you of the day and time at a later date once Felix and I have time to discuss. Rimuru responded. I wonder what she wants to talk about. We made our way back to the banquet hall as Elmgia and Gazelle took friendly jabs at each other. Irald and his daughter Ren were also following behind us. The moment we entered, almost everyone's eyes snapped to Elmgia, who just took their looks in stride. She really is a big shot, huh? Most of these people didn't even look at Rimuru or I in that way, and we were demon lords. It seems reputation really matters in this world. And while my reputation was already built up a fair amount due to slaughtering Clayman's army for my ascension, Rimuru isn't really known for much, as Veldora took the blame for wiping out Famuth's army. Rimuru led Elmgia to another table along with some of her guards and Irald and Ren. Gazelle and I both went back to our own tables. Who was that Felix Sama? Asked Suko. That was Elmgia, the ruler of the Sorcerer's Dynasty Sarian. I replied. Eh? Is she the leader of the leftover elves that weren't killed? Asked Milim. I rolled my eyes. She treats her casual extinction of an entire kingdom so casually. The fact that I'm not bothered by the fact that she did that also speaks volumes about me. Maybe it is my nature as a demon that has changed me, or maybe my ascension into a true demon lord, or perhaps I was just always like that. Oh well, no use dwelling on something I can't change. I nodded to Milim. Yup, though please don't finish the job. Hee. Of course not. I didn't even mean to kill all those elves at first. Replied Milim. That's right, she basically lost control of herself due to Satanale's effects. Still, Elmgia's arrival has stirred up quite a lot of conversation. I can overhear quite a few of the other tables talking about her showing up and what her arrival could mean. The night went on and eventually the banquet came to an end. I even ended up meeting some guests I haven't met for a long time. Ponytail, or rather Arrow as he is now known. He is serving the queen of some nation currently. The queen even ended up making a deal with Arcuaid, so I'm assuming that we are soon to be allies. Suko was happy to reunite with her pseudo-older brother again as well. Rimuru Tempest. Rimuru looked at his gathered subordinates, each occupying their own seats at the circular table they were sitting at. To start things off, he looked to Shuna. Good job on everything during the banquet, Shuna. You were one of the people who kept everything going together even with Elmgia's Arriva. Shuna blushed slightly at his praise. It was my duty, Lord Rimuru. Benimaru looked at Shuna with an incredibly proud expression. Still, thank you. He moved on and looked to Mjolnir, a merchant and the newly appointed treasurer of Tempest. He was one of the people responsible for ensuring the festival's success. Was there any news from the merchants? He asked. They imported a variety of things from multiple countries for the festival. Mjolnir was responsible for receiving the visiting merchants from other countries. Mjolnir nodded. Each of them were satisfied with their sales so far and are each eager for a more permanent relationship. Rimuru nodded in satisfaction. Good work. Now the main reason I called you all here tonight was to ask who among you wish to participate in the tournament tomorrow. I do not want all of you participating as that would be overkill. I want some others to have a chance to shine as well. He asked. He noticed quite a few of his lieutenants looking interested. Geibaru will be participating as he has a planned match with Carrion. He added. Gobta's head snapped to Geibaru in surprise. Just how did you end up arranging a match with an ex-demon lord? Geibaru smirked. Of course, to show off for my beloved Raiden. Geibaru exclaimed. Ugh, how did Geibaru not realize that Raiden was head over heels in love with Felix? She was practically obsessed with him. Even his other subordinates were looking at Geibaru in pity. He should really pull him aside sometime to talk to him. I don't think that's going to happen, buddy. Said Gobta. Geibaru huffed. Of course it will. Just watch. Gobta shook his head. Alright, it's your funeral. Gobta and Geibaru seemed to be quite good friends. Seeing as their conversation was finished, he spoke up. Other than that, the rest of you are free to do as you wish. He finished. Benimaru's eyes were alight with excitement. Ho? Oof ya fufu, how interesting. Commented Diablo. I shall show off my ability for you to watch over Lord Rimuru. Even Geld was eager. Sai also looked interested. Unfortunately, Sai couldn't participate. Ah, I forgot to mention, but you can't participate, Sai. You are responsible for Kurayami, our secret forces. If your identity was out in the open, that would be counterproductive. Sai looked quite upset, but he nodded in understanding. Very well, Lord Rimuru, you are indeed correct. It would be best if my skills and abilities were kept as hidden as possible. He nodded in satisfaction. Thanks for understanding, Sai. Surprisingly, Ranga didn't seem interested. He was still hiding out in his shadow. By the way, there will be many foreign spies, so whoever does participate, make sure not to show off your true strength. He said. They all nodded in agreement. Also, Benimaru, Diablo, you both also aren't allowed to participate. Both of them looked at him in surprise. What? Shouted Benimaru. He went on to explain. I plan to introduce a new ranking in this tournament. The 4 Heavenly Kings, the first and second place of the tournament, will take the last 2 spots respectively, while Benimaru, you will be the leader of the 4 Heavenly Kings and Diablo will hold the second spot. Diablo looked at him with wide eyes. As expected of Lord Rimuru. Such a magnificent title. Though I would prefer to be the leader. However, I won't argue, after all I'm still new to your service, Lord Rimuru. He looked to the side to hide his embarrassment. He totally just copied it from some Isekai anime he remembered. Still, it was good that Diablo wasn't protesting. Diablo's personality can be hard to read at times. I have the technology conference to attend later, but I shall still hold my word to Lord Carrion," said Gabiru. "Maybe Lady Raiden will be impressed with me," he continued. Everyone just ignored him and left him to his delusions. "I also wish to participate," said Gobta with a puffed-out chest. Rimuru looked to Hikaru for confirmation. Hikaru nodded. Gobta has reached a sufficient level of strength. He should be fit to take part in this tournament. He is probably one of my most talented disciples. Gobta looked at Hikaru. "Teacher. Shut it, you brat." He watched their byplay as he wondered if Hikaru was at Sundeer. He nodded. "Very well then, Gobta, you can participate. Though you all still need to get through the qualifiers. I also wish to participate and become one of the 4 heavenly kings," said Geld. He nodded. "Very well, Geld. This should be enough of a force to show those other countries that Tempest is not to be messed with." As much as the tournament was a show, it was also a way to show off Tempest's military strength. "Diablo, could you also serve as the referee for the tournament?" "Kuakaku, of course, Lord Rimuru," Diablo said with a bow. Good, now everything was sorted out for the tournament. "Gahaha, you called them the Heavenly Kings?" I laughed out loud. Rimuru looked at me with a blush. What else was I supposed to call them? Besides, it worked, didn't it? I was able to convince them to not participate in the tournament. Still, that's hilarious. I wonder what some of the other worlders who hear of that title will think. Rimuru's face turned pale. Gah. They're going to think I'm some neat. Hey, still maybe I'll copy you, make a force of my own for the world to fear. What about the 8 divine lords, or the 8 demonic lords? I voiced out loud. Both are wonderful titles, my lord. Praised Sukuna. Currently Rimuru and I were in a meeting. Sukuna asked to tag along as my bodyguard and I didn't reject it. Sako protested, but I promised she could attend as my bodyguard during the next event. I nodded along. Indeed, I think I'll go with the 8 demonic lords. It suits my theme as a demon lord and demon more. Ugh, why do you always have to copy me? Asked Rimuru with a pout. I shrugged my shoulders. Don't act as if you came up with the title on your own, plus you just made the title to distract your subordinates. I don't see why I can't do the same. Humphrey, fine. Rimuru said. 8 demonic lords, huh? There is Sako, Raiden, Arcuaid, Megaman, Lalatina, Kurami, and Sukuna, seeing as I don't quite think Ingvild is interested in a military post. Still, that is 7 if we don't include Ingvild, and the 7 demonic generals doesn't sound as good as the 8 demonic lords, so I'll have to find someone to fill in the last spot. I looked to Sukuna. From now on you are one of the 8 demonic lords, Sukuna. Stand proud, you're strong. Sukuna was almost in tears. Yes, my lord. I will not disappoint you. I nodded in satisfaction. Man, it's weird seeing how similar he acts to Diablo. Commented Rimuru. You get used to it. I responded. Oh, by the way, who among your group is going to participate in the tournament? Asked Rimuru. Well, Carrion will for sure, though I'm not sure about everyone else. I looked to Sukuna. Did you want to participate, Sukuna? Sukuna shook his head. My place is by your side, my lord. I nodded and turned back to Rimuru. Well, that's his answer. So much like Diablo. Rimuru whispered. I'll talk to everyone else when I get back. Anyways, are you prepared for the starting ceremony? It starts in a couple hours, right? Rimuru nodded. Yup. I'm as well prepared as I can be, though I am a bit nervous about the speech. Don't worry about it, you're a demon lord, who's going to call you out on your shitty public speaking skills. Rimuru sighed. You're not doing much for my confidence, Felix. I shrugged my shoulders. Don't worry about it, you'll do fine. I hope so. And with that our conversation was over. I teleported back to the place we were all staying with Sukuna. Though Carrion and his subordinates were staying somewhere else. Master. Raiden greeted. What's up, Raiden? Are you planning to get ready soon? The ceremony is in a couple hours. Raiden nodded. Yes, I was simply waiting for your return in case you required anything. I shook my head. Nah, though I did have a question. Did you want to participate in the tournament? Raiden tilted her head. Why would I wish to show off my strength to a bunch of weaklings? Ah, there's that dragon in her, she can be prideful in the most odd of ways. You don't need to if you don't want to. Rimuru just wanted to know who among you was going to participate so he could plan ahead. I see. Then no, I shall not participate unless you wish for me to master. Responded Raiden. Nah, it's fine. Carrion is going to participate, but I'll have him hide his identity. Having an ex-demon lord participate might be a bit much for most, even if he is weak. The status of demon lord is one that invokes fear in the general populace, so it's probably best if they don't know of Carrion's participation. Ah, by the way, I created a new rank for my subordinates. From now on you are one of the 8 demonic lords. I can come up with the exact rankings at a later date. I plan to have it sorted by strength. The strongest of the 8 will be rank 1, and the weakest rank 8, or rather rank 7 since I don't have an 8th member. Raiden's eyes widened marginally. I shall continue to serve you to the best of my ability, Master. Don't worry about it, I plan for it to be more of an intimidation tactic. I want fear to sprout in people's hearts the moment they hear of the 8 demonic lords. There won't really be any added duties. I responded. Raiden nodded. I'm going to go talk to everyone else about the tournament, Raiden. Raiden gave me a curtsy and left me to my business. Ah, you can also go do whatever you want now, Sukuna. I said to my ever-present shadow. Sukuna gave me a bow and then left. Since Arcuaid, Megaman, and Lalatina are together, I'll talk to them first. Though it would be quite overkill if they participate in this tournament, so I'll have to convince them not to. Maybe I'll bribe them with being one of my 8 demonic lords. After all, they don't know I already plan to include them in the ranks of the 8 demonic lords. Those 3 are the type to fall for that kind of bait, except maybe Arcuaid. The 3 of them were in one of the empty rooms holding a tea party for themselves from what I'm sensing. Man, those 3 can be really fancy. I've never even been to a tea party. Even Megaman was quite posh, even with her destructive and violent tendencies. These primordials have really lived a life of true luxury for billions of years. Though I imagine they have also been bored out of their minds, stuck in the demon realm for billions of years. Everything will manage to get boring at some point after all. No matter how vast the demon realms is, eventually one would get bored of exploring and fighting. Not to mention those 3 barely have any equals down there. I knocked on the door to their room. Come in, my lord. Responded Arcuaid. I opened the door and was met with 3 kneeling primordials. Arcuaid was in the center with Lalatina to her right and Megaman to her left. I sighed. Get up, no need to bow. Have some pride as primordials. Hee, we do have pride, master. It's just that you are above us, so it is only natural to bow. Argued Lalatina with adoration and worship in her eyes. Arcuaid nodded in agreement. Indeed, as Lalatina said, we will treat those below us as the bugs they are, and we shall treat you who is above us as the god you are. Arcuaid said with an equal amount of adoration as a Lalatina in her eyes. Megaman just nodded along. Alright, just get up. It's awkward to talk to you like that. All 3 of them quickly got up. Arcuaid snapped her fingers and expanded the table they were sitting at, as well as created a seat for me. I noticed my seat was far more grand than theirs. We all took our seats as Arcuaid served me tea. I've never been much of a tea guy. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. But from one sip of this tea I could tell it was incredibly luxurious. The flavor was out of this world. I wouldn't be surprised if this costs a couple of gold coins, if not more. Alright, I wanted to see if you guys were interested in participating in the tournament. If any of them show interest, I'll bribe them to change their minds. I'd feel bad for any of their opponents. Arcuaid shook her head. I do not care to show off my power to a bunch of weaklings. Lalatina nodded along. I'd like to watch, maybe I'll find someone interesting. Lalatina said with a sadistic smile. I feel bad for whoever catches her interest. Ah, Gobta will be participating, so maybe we will see something interesting. Apparently he has gotten stronger. I commented. Ah, that's the goblin from that time, right? Asked Lalatina. I nodded. Yup. Megaman and Arcuaid looked interested, so I decided to clue them in. Gobta is one of Rimaru's subordinates. He seems to have a bit of potential, so Lalatina was interested in him. Megaman smirked. Hey, I don't know whether to be interested or pity him for Lalatina's interest. Whenever she is interested in someone, they usually end up in a lot of pain. Arcuaid nodded along. Indeed, you need to treat your toys with more care, Lalatina. I'll do what I want with them. Pouted Lalatina. Man, these 3 are demons to the core. Just don't go overboard, Lalatina. Yes, master. Lalatina responded. Alright, so you 3 won't participate, right? All 3 nodded. Good, I won't have to convince them then. Very well. I've decided to reward you 3 for the service you 3 have done for me. Ah, a reward from master. Moaned Lalatina. I sighed. Get your head out of the gutter, Lalatina. Arcuaid ignored Lalatina. There is no need to reward us, my lord, we are content. You have given us bodies, a name, your affection, and something to dedicate ourselves to. Megaman nodded vigorously. That's right. In fact, we haven't repaid you enough for what you've done for us. Repay me? For serving me? That makes no sense. I'll just chalk it up to primordials being weird. Well, you don't have the option to reject. I am naming all 3 of you as members of the 8 demonic lords. A new force I wish to establish under me, filled with only the strongest of my subordinates. A name that will inspire fear in the enemy. That is a wonderful idea, my lord. I shall accept your reward from me and will endeavor to serve you even better. Announced Arcuaid. Hey, stop trying to get the lead on me, Arcuade. I also accept, my lord, said Megaman. Lalatina had stopped her daydreaming as well. Ah, me too, master. I will continue to serve as your subordinate, tool, slave, bedwarmer, cuck. All right, that's enough, Lalatina. The fact that I'm getting used to her is concerning. Though I guess I'm already past worrying about myself, seeing as I indulge in Lalitina's debauchery quite often. Alright, I'm off to go talk to the others about the tournament. The three nodded and so I left. I sighed as I walked out of Siko's room. It seems none of my subordinates are particularly interested in taking part in the tournament, not that I blame them. The tournament is far too low tier for beings of their strength to take part in. Siko didn't want to, as she wanted to serve as my public bodyguard as I promised her. Kurumi wasn't interested either. She claimed that she would attend as my pet, so I left her to it. I asked Ingvild, but as expected she wasn't interested. She seemed to be looking forward to the concert though. And Glenda was interested but wisely decided not to, as she is still quite well known as one of the 10 great saints. She likely wouldn't have done too well either. She is probably on the level of a demon lord seed if I pushed it, but multiple people at a similar or higher level will also be participating. Sophia won't be participating either. So I guess my only subordinate that is participating is Carrion. It's probably best that way, far more of a fair fight if none of my overpowered subordinates participate. Though it could be amusing to just see Siko or Raiden just wreck the entire tournament. Everyone also accepted becoming part of the 8 demonic lords, so that's good. Ingvild surprised me by accepting, though she said that she wished for the bottom ranking. Something about the others deserving it more, and I just let her be. I looked down from the podium we were all gathered on. Rimuru is about to officially start the entrance ceremony. He's going to give a speech and some other stuff. I'm not quite sure what he is going to talk about, so it's a surprise even for me. All the important guests were given a podium of their own that they could watch from. All of my subordinates were gathered on my podium. I could see Gazel on his own with his subordinates. Even Elmagia was around. Carrion was also with me while Frey was with Milim. I could see Milim bugging Frey from the corner of my eyes. Poor Frey. Hey, Milim even tried to run and hide as Frey wanted Milim to wear a dress. I'm not quite sure why Milim was so resistant. She even looks cute in that frilly dress. I shot Milim a thumbs up, one she returned and then went back to bugging Frey. Hey, Frey has her hands full, huh boss? Said Carrion, who was sitting behind me. Yup, but that's what she signed up for. She wanted the protection of one of the strongest demon lords, so of course there is going to be a cost. It's just that the cost is a bit unconventional this time. Huh, that's true. Responded Carrion. Our podium was quite large, so everyone was able to get a seat. I turned to my left where Raiden was sitting. What do you think so far? I think it is wonderful what Lord Rimuru is attempting to accomplish. It seems to even have some level of success, seeing how many humans have shown up to this festival. Responded Raiden. Yup, even I'm surprised by the sheer numbers. Originally normal humans couldn't even come near Tempest due to the sheer magicules all around. Magicules are poisonous to normal humans, which is a fairly large disadvantage, though they can work past that by evolving and training. Rimuru had one of his scientists, Vesta I think his name was, come up with a way to utilize all the magicules for something else, reducing the magicule levels in Jura. I heard Rimuru clear his throat slightly, which was heard by everyone due to the projection magic that Rimuru is using. Everyone quickly quieted down. From the peasants that had shown up to the human royals in the other booths. Hello everyone, I'm Demon Lord Rimuru. It's nice to meet you all. Thank you for coming to Tempest on my invitation, and while this may be your first time visiting and some of you may not know much about me, there is no reason to worry. Rimuru paused for a moment before continuing. Rather than conquering or attacking humans, I simply wish to build a place where everyone can live in peace and harmony. A place where monsters and humans don't need to fight each other for survival, but one where they can depend on each other. I believe that this way is the best way for us to build a better future for everyone. As Rimuru continued his speech, I looked around. Most of the people here were actually listening to what Rimuru was saying. They could acknowledge that the world he was talking about would be nice. Even those from other kingdoms seemed to be thoughtful. Now some may be wary of the fact that I am a demon lord, and that is completely understandable. The stigma involved with that term is deeply ingrained into this world, so I won't ask you to just change your opinions. What I will ask is for you to give me a chance. Give me a chance to show you that this is all possible, a chance to show you that we can all live in peace. Now, trust can't be created overnight, but I am hopeful that communication between all of us over time can be built up. Damn, did he write that speech himself? That's actually quite good. Nobles and royals here today, I hope that you will relay everything you will hear and experience here honestly when you return to your home countries. In fact, some countries have already entered an alliance with us, like the armed nation of Dwargon and Sorcerer's Dynasty Sarian. If you cannot trust us, then why not trust them? Rimuru then steeled himself. Now while I won't wage war against you simply for the fact that you do not agree with us, the moment Tempest or its interests are attacked there will be consequences. I am hopeful that the majority of you do not wish to end up like Falmouth. Hey, it's good that he is showing the carrot with all of Tempest's advancements and how much nations could get from an alliance as well as the stick by using Falmouth as an example. Falmouth is still technically around in Farminas, but it is practically a different country at this point. Diablo purged all those that were getting in the way and put those that would be willing to obey Rimuru and Yum. Now whether you are a merchant or a commoner, I promise not to lay my hands on you, but criminals will be dealt with swiftly. Our country is currently quite lacking in manpower, meaning there are many jobs available for those who need them. If you wish to fill in such a role, you can consider immigrating to Tempest. We promise to treat you fairly. With that being said, I hope everyone enjoys the festival. Rimuru finished. The crowd immediately exploded into deafening cheers, not just the citizens of Tempest but even the visitors. It seems Rimuru really won them over with that speech. And with that, the Tempest Founding Festival has officially started. Rimuru Tempest, whoa. That was an awesome speech, Sensei. Yelled Kenya. Rimuru smirked proudly. Of course it was. Who do you think I am? Phew, it's good that they liked it. Raphael refused to help him with his speech for some reason, so he had to write his own speech. He didn't want to ask Shuna either since it felt kind of cheap. Alice and Chloe ran up to him and hugged him. Haha, alright kids, that's enough. He said as he patted their heads. These two were really too clingy. They released him. Sorry for not being able to spend much time with you guys, I've been quite busy setting everything up for the festival. He apologized. Kenya waved him off, though he could tell he was still a little sad. Alright, the festivities have already started. I'm sure you will all have a lot of fun, but make sure not to go out of control. He warned. Maybe he should have someone accompanying them. That was quite the speech, Rimuru. He turned to the voice and was met with Hinata, who was dressed to impress. She was wearing a navy blue sleeveless dress that showed off a bit of cleavage. He gave her a smirk. Trying to impress Felix, I see. Hinata's gaze became cold all of a sudden, though she couldn't hide the blush that appeared on her cheeks. As if I would care what that man thinks. She really is a tsundere. Stop thinking whatever you are thinking. Gah. The fabled women's intuition. Hinata nay. Yelled Alice as she ran up to Hinata, followed by Chloe. Those two really got along with Hinata. Hinata gave a small smile. Alice, Chloe. She then looked to the rest and greeted them. Sup Rimuru, Hinata, kids. He turned towards the door where he sensed Felix. That was a good speech, Rimuru. Felix said as he walked in, followed by Raiden. He was surprised Siko wasn't accompanying Felix. She had been awfully clingy with Felix earlier. Lucky bastard. Humphrey, thanks. He said. Felix rolled his eyes. Are you at tsundere now too? Felix then looked at Hinata and gave her an appreciative glance. He gave her a thumbs up. Looking good, Hinata. Hey, and Hinata said she didn't care for Felix's opinion. That blush on her face says otherwise. Humphrey, thank you Felix, though don't think I dressed up for you. Hinata responded. Haha, of course not. Truly at tsundere. Maybe he can ask Felix or one of his subordinates to accompany the kids. Can I ask a favor, Felix? Sure, though I may or may not accept depending on what it is. Felix responded. Rimuru nodded. Could you or one of your subordinates accompany the kids when they go out and enjoy the festival, just until the concert? There will be security and all that stuff, but it will be quite crowded, so I am worried something might happen. We're big kids, Sensei. He ignored Kenya. Felix looked thoughtful for a moment before nodding. Sure, that's fine with me. Raiden and I were just going to go walk around and see what's going on. Thanks, Felix. Oh. Can Hinata accompany us too? Asked Alice. The other kids nodded along, so he looked to Hinata. Sure, I'll accompany Felix and his maid around with the kids. She said with a nod. Even better. Hey. Alright, enjoy your date with Felix, Hinata. He teased. Hinata glared at him. It is not a date. She gritted out. Wow, she is an extremely high level of tsundere. At least she doesn't get physical, those are the worst kinds of tsunders. Felix, Raiden and Hinata left, followed by the kids. The last thing he heard was them talking about getting some corn on the cob. I looked to my side where Raiden was trying some corn on the cob. As far as I know, she hasn't had any of the more festively items like corn on the cob and cotton candy. How do you like it, Raiden? The flavor is quite simple, but it is oddly satisfying. She responded. Yup. I told you it would be good, big sis. Yelled Kenya. For some reason Kenya took quite the liking to Raiden, even referring to her as big sis, something Raiden didn't seem to mind. I looked to my left where Hinata was eating her own corn on the cob. She dressed quite fancy today, Not just the looks of the dress, but it is made out of some incredibly high-tier silk. Along with that, it has thermal fluctuation nullification imbued into the dress. Hey, you seem to like these kinds of foods quite a lot, Hinata. Hinata blushed, as if just realizing how she was eating. The food culture in this world is quite dull. I nodded. Well, you can stop by at my territory sometime, we have some pretty good food too. Hinata nodded. Very well, I shall visit sometime. We went on to try a bunch of other food items with the kids tagging along with us. There were quite a few stands stationed outside the stadium. There were burgers, fries, BBQ, shaved ice, and quite a few other snacks. The kids in particular liked the shaved ice. I ended up leaving the kids to Hinata after some time as Raiden and I had to get ready for the concert. I wanted to meet up with everyone before going. Though I made sure to tease Hinata a bit before going. She is really fun to mess with. Kurumi was already waiting at home. Arcuade, Megaman and Lalatina should also be waiting, same with everyone else. After Rimaru's speech, everyone went their own way to explore the festival. Of course, I'm sure there is still more to explore, but hopefully they enjoyed themselves. Tsuko wanted to meet up with Shuna to talk about something, so I left her to it, but hopefully she is done by now and waiting at home. I grabbed Raiden's hand and then snapped my fingers, teleporting us back to where we were all staying. Of course, we weren't staying at my place here since it isn't big enough to house so many people, so Rimaru loaned me a place where we could all stay. My lord. I turned towards Arcuade and greeted her. Sup, Arcuade? You look good. Thank you for the praise, she said with a happy smile. Lalatina and Megaman were also next to her, each looking equally beautiful in their own ways. You two look wonderful as well. Hee, thanks, responded Megaman. Thank you, master. I took a look around the room. It looks like everyone is ready. Felix-sama. I turned to the voice and was met with my purple-haired bodyguard. Hello, Tsuko. You look great. She blushed slightly. Thank you, Felix-sama. Are you all ready? Tsuko nodded. Yes. Alright, since everyone is ready, let's go. Once I got a nod from everyone, I teleported everyone to the opera house that was recently built. I had teleported us directly to the backstage so we wouldn't have to deal with the crowd. There would be all types of people attending, from Majins, to normal humans, to nobles, to royalty. The kids weren't interested in attending and Hinata didn't particularly care either, so she was fine with sticking with them. Hey, she's gonna miss out. I'm sure there are going to be some classic anime openings playing. Though that uncultured girl probably wouldn't even recognize them. Oh, there you are, Felix. Are the kids with Hinata? I turned to Rimaru and nodded. Yup, they are hanging out with her. Great, thanks for the help. He responded. No problem. Rimaru then looked behind me. Dang, you brought a lot of subordinates, huh? I nodded. Yup, they could use a break and the festival is as good an opportunity as any. Rimaru nodded in understanding. Alright, you guys can head to your seats whenever you want. They're located in the VIP area where all the other important officials are, though yours is at the top. But please play nice, pleaded Rimaru. I looked at him offended. Do you think of me as some sort of evil demonic being? Why would I dream of offending those distinguished nobles and royals? Rimaru sighed. Just don't. Haha, don't worry, as long as they don't annoy me I'll play nice. I appeased. If any of them trouble Felix-sama they will be dealt with swiftly, added Tsuko. Ah, don't do any of that unless I tell you to, Tsuko. Rimaru looked constipated when he heard what Tsuko was saying. As you wish, responded Tsuko. I looked towards the rest of my subordinates who were just looking around curiously. We could see all of the musicians getting ready, setting up their music stands and doing a final inspection of their instruments. Alright, see you later, Rimaru. See ya. We all made our way to our assigned seats. I noticed a good chunk of the VIP area's occupants were looking at us. I noticed some even take a few looks at the women present in our group before looking away. They were likely too afraid to continue staring. Our seats were at the very top of the opera house in our own booth. I could see Carrion along with Albus and Phobio were already waiting for us there. They were all dressed appropriately, Carrion in a suit and tie, Albus in a dress, and Phobio in a dark blue blazer. Lookin' good, boss, yelled Carrion. You and your subordinates look good as well, I responded. There were more than enough seats in this large booth, so we all took our seats as we waited for the show to start. Are you excited for the tournament? I asked Carrion. He gave me a wild smirk. Of course. Who knew that Rimaru had subordinates that strong? Just from the sheer aura he was releasing I was able to tell he would be a fun fight. I nodded in response. Yeah, he seems to have been in a training craze for whatever reason. Apparently for a woman. I clued Carrion in. Gaha, even better. Getting strong just to win over a woman is quite unique. Indeed, too bad he won't ever get said woman. Carrion looked at me in confusion. He's into Raiden. A look of pity appeared on Carrion's face. Ah, poor sap, even I can tell that she's head over heels for you. Carrion whispered. Though from the glare Raiden was sending him, it seems she still heard him. Dragon hearing isn't to be underestimated. I looked down to the common seats, people were still filling in. Though I did spot someone recognizable. Hey, it seems Luminous attended in secret. I sent Rimuru a thought communication. Did something happen, Felix? Nah, just thought you should know Luminous is here in her maid persona. Huh? I didn't know she was coming. Grr, Hinata couldn't have told me? Rimuru seemed quite upset. It is what it is. I don't think she is here to cause trouble. She probably wants to see what Tempest has to offer to determine if she wants a more permanent relationship with you all. You could be right. Still, I wish I had known beforehand. Rimuru sighed. Well, you gotta learn and adapt. I'm sure everything will be fine. Hopefully. Anyways, thanks for telling me, Felix. I need to do one last checkup with everyone, so see you later. Bye. Felix. I turned to the neighboring booth and was met with an excitedly waving Milim. Frey and her daughters were also there along with Ark and Midrae. I waved back. Milim. I noticed quite a few people's attention was now on us due to the commotion we were making. I'll talk to you later, Milim. Let's just enjoy the show. Okay, Felix. Hey, I'm sure everyone is just incredibly confused at this point. They must be coming to terms that Milim and I are likely far different from whatever profiles they have on us. Chapter 107, Presentation. We all continued to wait excitedly for the show to start. The level of entertainment and culture in this world was quite small when compared to modern-day Earth. There were some who had some level of ability in the arts, but that was restricted to the more wealthy. For the common people, music and the like is rare if not unheard of. Rimuru then came up onto the stage. Welcome everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the Tempest Founding Festival so far. Now in a couple moments some of Tempest's most talented artists will begin to play for you all. There will be a variation of pieces as well as multiple instruments. With that out of the way, I hope you all enjoy it. And with that, Rimuru vanished, appearing in a booth of his own. The moment Rimuru vanished, the curtains were pulled back, allowing us to see the musicians. There were a variety of races. In fact, I doubt something similar to this has ever been done. There were goblins, hobo-goblins, ogres, orcs, lizardmen, and even some lycanthropes. There was a variety of instruments. There was one pianist, quite a few violinists, some drumists, some trumpets. There was a whole band here. I could tell almost everyone was eager to hear what these Majin had to play. The lights dimmed down as the conductor came to the front. He gave a bow to the audience before turning around and raising his baton. The moment after he raised his baton, the music started. A steady tone started, and soon was followed by a change into a solemn reprise. Everyone was playing in unison. You could tell that these guys had practiced for hours upon hours, and that was something I could respect. They were playing some good old classical music. I could tell the audience was absolutely mesmerized. Sure, this wasn't the best I've heard. After all, I had been to a few concerts in my first life, but these guys were not bad at all. To the people of this world, this might as well have been the best thing they've ever heard. However, the music stopped all of a sudden. Many of the audience were confused, including me. However, before anyone could voice any sort of complaint, the music picked up again. However, the music was vastly different from what was playing before. Gaha, Cruel Angel's thesis. Rimuru really outdid himself here. I commented. Ah, did you know this music, boss? I've never heard anything like it before. I nodded. Yup, as you know, Rimuru and I are reincarnated, right? Carrion nodded. Well, this is some music from our past life. It was quite the popular song among certain groups too. Carrion nodded in understanding. This music is quite different from what I have heard in the past, but it is not bad. Commented Arcuade. Cruel Angel's thesis went on for a minute or so more before the song changed once again to another familiar opening. This game, the first opening of No Game No Life. Hey, Rimuru really knew what songs to have them play. Both of those were fan favorites among anime enjoyers, and for good reason too. I looked to Ingvild, who had her eyes closed and was just listening along. Maybe I can have her join us band as a singer. It's worth asking about later. The music then changed to pop, and then back to anime openings. They were merging all the varying genres together fairly well. I wouldn't have ever expected something like this. Our group continued to enjoy the music until the end of the concert. From the looks on everyone's faces, I think Rimuru will be quite happy with the results of this. The conductor turned around as all of the musicians got up off their seats. They all bowed. Thank you for listening. The applause was deafening. I could see out of the corner of my eyes that even Luminous was clapping with a satisfied smile on her face. Elmgia, Gazel, Irald, all of these important figures were all clapping along. Hey, I bet those kids will wish they came here once I tell them about it. From what I know, all of them did enjoy anime and the manga Rimuru had supplied them with. Well, they can come to another one of the shows. Throughout the festival every morning and afternoon there will be a concert for 1 hour. I'm sure some people here will be recurring attendees. Truly, music and art can break through any barrier. I looked to my companions. I'm going to go see Rimuru, I'll see you guys at the hotel, alright? Once I got everyone's agreement, I teleported to where I sensed Rimuru. After the concert I met up with Rimuru as we were making our way towards the guest hotel where lunch will be served. That was one hell of a concert, Rimuru. He rubbed the back of his sheepishly. Would you believe me if I said I didn't know what they were going to play? I rolled my eyes. I would, you are quite careless like that. Hey. What? It's true, isn't it? I bet you just left everything to your skill. Rimuru crossed his arms. Humphrey, that might be true, but you don't need to be so blatant about it. Hey, well, someone has to make sure you don't get a big head. Once we got to the guest hotel I was able to spot all of my companions fairly easily. Rimuru. That was awesome. Said a flying Milim. Haha, I'm sure the musicians will be happy to hear your praise, Milim. Frey followed closely behind Milim. Indeed, I do not think I have ever heard anything quite like that before. Having otherworldly knowledge really can be a cheat sometimes. Milim and I eventually split up from Rimuru so he could attend to everyone else. He has to be a good host after all. Milim, Frey, and I made our way to the table my subordinates got for us. It was located on the second floor in the VIP section. I took my seat next to Raiden and Arcuade. I'm not quite sure why the seating arrangement keeps changing, but it's probably best if I don't pry into that. For some reason Carrion, Arc, and Midrayi looked traumatized, while Sufa, Albus, and Phobio were just frozen. I'm sure something happened here, but it's obviously none of my business. The meal at the guest hotel was a quiet affair for us. Of course for Rimuru it was anything but quiet. I could spot him running around from table to table. Hey, well, he asked for it when he held an event this big. Arcuade, Raiden, Siko and I made our way towards the science department where there is going to be a presentation of sorts. Arcuade came with me since she was interested in what the science department could come up with. Arcuade was a bit old-fashioned in that she thought personal power mattered more than any sort of scientific weapon, so she was curious to see what Tempest was going to be showing off. Raiden came with me since she doesn't really have much else to do, and Siko said she should come with me as my bodyguard. I'm assuming that Rimuru is going to show off some of Tempest's scientific advancements to win over some countries. It didn't take long to walk towards the building the science department used as their home base. It was a fairly large, modern-looking building, all things considered. It sort of looked like a museum. Gabiru and Vesta were waiting at the front of the building, guiding everybody into the auditorium where the presentation will take place. Welcome everybody. If you would please just follow the signs, the presentation will be starting shortly, announced Vesta. It didn't take long for the duo to notice us. Lord Felix. Welcome to the science department. Lady Siko, Lady Raiden, and Lady Arcuade, it is an honor to see you once again, greeted Vesta. Era, what a gentleman, commented Arcuade. Raiden simply gave him a nod while Siko was too busy looking around to respond. Gabiru gave us a bow. Welcome. Though that wasn't all he did. He kneeled in front of Raiden. Ah, Lady Raiden, you look just as radiant as ever. The purple of your eyes remind me of a beautiful purple sunset I once laid witness to. I'd give that pickup line a 6/10. Well, at least he tried. Raiden just looked down at him as if he was a bug. Vesta brushed past Gabiru's antics. He turned behind him where a scientist in a lab coat quickly approached. This is Gamil, he will be guiding you to your seats. Please enjoy the presentation. I gave him a nod and then followed the goblin along with Arcuade, Raiden and Siko. I looked around the VIP lounge once we arrived. I could see some of the higher-up nobles and royals here, as well as a bar in the back along with some waiters. Unlike the VIP treatment of the concert where each VIP got their own specialized booth, for the presentation the VIPs were all grouped together in a large lounge towards the back of the auditorium. We were fairly high up so I could see all of the non-VIPs gathering below us and taking their seats through the tempered glass viewing panel. I led us towards where Gazel and Elmgia were sitting. They were alone for some reason. I would have thought they would have brought their guards, or that some of these nobles would approach them to curry favor. Hey, it's nice to be friends with the ruler of a territory and have some status, huh? I imagine this VIP lounge looks like the peak of luxury for some people. Mind if we sit here? I asked. Elmgia patted the seat to her left and gave me a smile. Feel free, I was getting bored of little Gazel here anyway. Gazel sighed. How many times do I have to tell you to stop calling me that? Era, these two are quite interesting, my lord. Upon hearing Arcuade, Elmgia's gaze instantly zeroed in on Arcuade. Elmgia audibly sighed. I would be insulted by the nonchalance in your voice when referencing us, but I guess I'll let it go seeing who you are. Oh, you are quite well learned then to recognize me the moment you laid your gaze upon me. Arcuaid said as I took my seat next to Elmgia. Why don't we take our seats first, then you two can talk? I said. The couches were laid out in a U so we could all view the presentation whilst simultaneously looking at each other. Once everyone was seated I called over a waiter. The one who approached was one of the Ana that Rimuru had to resurrect. Could I get some wine? I asked. Yes my lord, which wine would you like? We have a variety from red wine, white wine, sparkling wine, rose, and much more. Why don't you surprise me? The waiter nodded. Since Elmgia and Gazel had already been served, the waiter turned towards my subordinates. He looked to Arcuaid first. And you my lady? I will try your red wine. Responded Arcuaid. We had supplied the alcohol for this festival, which includes the various wines they will be serving. Very well. He went on to take Raiden and Siko's orders as well. Once everyone had ordered, Elmgia looked to me. You know I would like to develop a deeper alliance with you and your nation Felix, but before I take that step may I ask you something? I tilted my head. Sure, but I may not answer if I do not wish to. Elmgia nodded. That is fair enough. Elmgia looked at me dead in the eye. She tilted her head slightly. What do you plan to do with that demon? That monstrous primordial? I noticed Arcuaid's gaze sharpened. Humphrey, who are you to question Felix-sama? Said Siko. I sighed. Calm down Siko, it's fine. Sometimes when you want to make an alliance with others you need to inform them of certain things. My lord is right Siko, just let him handle this. Commented Arcuaid with a smirk. Before Siko could protest I cut her off. If you've seen me interact with them you should know they are completely under my control. Elmgia paused for a moment. They? Alright, she hasn't met Lalitina or Megaman, only Arcuaid so it is natural to assume I only have one primordial under me. I noticed Gazel was just watching along with interest written on his face. I nodded. I have also recruited Violet and John and given them both a name and a body. Elmgia's eyes widened in shock. You're mad. I noticed her body was trembling lightly, whether in anger or fear. Who knew? I looked at her offended. I'm not mad. I'm just making use of some available resources. I noticed Arcuaid, Siko, and Raiden nodding alongside me. Those two were never doing anything other than their games. Rather than that it is much better if they make use of themselves and serve my lord. Proclaimed Arcuaid. Elmgia sighed. I heard all of you primordials have quite interesting characters, but I didn't expect this. Little Leon was quite bothered by John, so at least you took her out of his hair. I snorted. Little Leon? Elmgia nodded with a smirk. Hey, that boy might not look it but he was taught by my mother. Ah, it was always so fun to tease him back then. I'll be sure to remember that, who knows it may come in handy when I meet Leon next. Still, you are aware of what that demon of yours had done no? Elmgia asked, curiosity tinting her voice. What she has done? I'm sure she has done quite a lot over the years. You are going to need to be more specific. The Lakeshore Dyed Scarlet incident. Elmgia finished. I nodded. I know about it, what of it? Elmgia shook her head. Nothing, I was just wondering if you were aware. Now that I know that you are, that helps me get a better read on your personality. Oh? And what do you think? I asked, partially curious. I'm not sure what sort of read on me Elmgia can get with the limited contact we've had, but who knows? She is really old so I'm sure she has some tricks. For one I think you are relatively unfeeling when it comes to people not related to you. Whether it be their suffering or success. That's fairly accurate. That's pretty accurate. I responded. I just can't find it in me to care for those that I don't even know. While most would be aghast at hearing about the Lakeshore Dyed Scarlet incident, I just brushed it off since it had nothing to do with me. I'm a demon through and through. You seem to be relatively agreeable if one approaches you without any bad intentions. At the very least you won't immediately kill someone like the rest of your kin. Also accurate. The rest I think I will keep to myself. I nodded. I don't particularly care what Elmgia thinks of me. All that matters is if she is willing to cooperate with me or not. She is free to think what she wants outside of that. Though I'm quite sure she is fine with me, after all I heard she has a rather close alliance with Leon Cromwell, and his morality is extremely dubious to say the least. So morality isn't something Elmgia seems all that concerned with. What do you plan to do if those primordials disobey you and go out of control? Asked Elmgia. I laughed out loud hearing this. Disobey me? I asked, amusement tinting my tone. Elmgia looked at me confused. It seems she is as aware about the primordials as she thinks she is. Seeing as she still didn't understand, I leaned towards Arcuade and pinched her chin between two of my fingers before bringing her in for a steamy kiss. Our tongues dueled for a few moments before I pulled back, leaving Arcuade a blushing mess. Hey, that was very demon lord-like of me. I've always wanted to do that. Every self-aware demon lord would do something similar. Elmgia and Gazel were looking at me with wide eyes. Siko was looking at me with a pout while Raiden kept her stoic facade. Arcuade quickly recovered herself. My lord is correct. We would never dream of disobeying him. He is the light in our lives and we are willing to do anything that he asks of us. I coughed lightly. Yeah, what she said. Even should one of us do the impossible and disobey our lord, he is quite capable of easily purging us should he wish to, remarked Arcuade. Elmgia and Gazel were still gaping at me, but I could tell they heard what Arcuade had said. It seems they weren't quite aware of how strong I am. The only feat I have to show so far is killing 30,000 plus Magians along with Clayman after all, which even Moss on his own is capable of. Hey, I wonder what these guys would think if they saw my fight with Guy. It would be foolish to doubt the words of a primordial. I was not aware you possessed such a vast amount of strength. That would put you at least on par with little Leon, if not stronger. Even Leon had to take an unnamed John seriously. Elmgia said, quickly recovering herself. I doubt that. Leon has an ultimate skill. I may not know which one, but anyone with an ultimate skill and the experience Leon has should be capable of taking on any of the primordials, of course excluding Guy. Of course Felix Sama is the strongest. Siko proudly proclaimed. I see. Very well then. I am open to a deeper alliance between our two nations. I will tell Erald to take care of it. I nodded. Arcuade, can you take care of that later? Very well, my lord. Acquiesced Arcuade. Though do be aware, should you stand against humanity, I will not stand by and watch. Haha, I have no reason to destroy humanity or anything as asinine as that. Though should there be an attack by any country on my person or territory, they will be dealt with appropriately. Elmgia nodded. Very well, that is acceptable. Elmgia paused for a moment before speaking again. One more concern I had was about the Hell Gates. What happened to them? Have they been left unmonitored? Alright. The Hell Gates are basically gates that connect directly to the demon realm. Generally each one is guarded by a primordial. Arcuade is the one who answered for me. When I left to recruit Violet and John, I had closed each of our respective Hell Gates to not cause trouble for our lord. Nice, Arcuade. Elmgia nodded. Very well, thank you for the answer. Seeing as our conversation was over, Gazel looked towards Elmgia. You know Felix isn't the only one with a primordial under his command. Alright, I'm sure Elmgia wants to understand Rimaru's intentions too before she makes any choices on Sarian's relationship with Tempest. Sarian and Tempest do have an alliance currently, but it is not an incredibly deep one like the one between Dwargon and Tempest. Elmgia looked at Gazel in confusion. Oh? Who else could have put one of them under their thrall? In fact, Guy Crimson, or Rouge has Blue and Vert. Felix here has Blink, John, and Violet. That only leaves Noir, the most mysterious of the bunch. I decided to intervene in Rimaru's favor. Rimaru recruited Noir, or rather Diablo, after he became a demon lord. You don't need to worry about Diablo, he is Rimaru's #1 fanboy. Elmgia and Gazel looked confused. Fanboy? Ah, a fanboy is just an extremely enthusiastic fan of someone or something. I helpfully informed. The two nodded. I see, but I would still like to meet Rimaru Tempest before I make any decisions, said Elmgia. I nodded. That is reasonable. I'm sure Rimaru will be open to discussing his intentions during that meeting you asked for. Elmgia nodded in satisfaction, allowing the topic to shift to other more casual things. Rimaru owes me something really good for covering for him. Even after being told Diablo was a primordial, he hasn't realized the significance of that. Gazel looked to Elmgia, steel in his eyes. Rimaru may be reckless, but do know that I support my junior wholeheartedly. Ah, it seems Rimaru got a good ally in Dwargon, huh? To think that little slime has even won you over, commented Elmgia. My lords, my ladies. I turned to the voice and was met with our waiter. Your drinks. I nodded and lightly floated all of our drinks from the plate. It seems the waiter got me a white wine, along with everyone else's orders. Will that be all? Asked the waiter. I turned to my group, seeing they had nothing to say, I nodded to the waiter. Yes, thank you. I gave my thanks. It was a pleasure, said the waiter with a bow. Can you lower my poison nullification, Odin? Apostrophe. Very well. Nice. Now maybe I can actually get drunk. We continued to make small talk while we waited for the presentation to start. Arcuade seemed to be quite interested in Sarian's magical developments. From what I was hearing, Sarian was a magi tech society basically. They combined magic and technology to get the most of both worlds, but they made sure not to go too far, as if they developed a bit too much the angels would attack them. I'm not quite sure why the angels attack any nation that has developed a sufficient amount, but I think it's safe to say they are acting out in the worst interest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen. We all looked through the glass viewing panel. It seems the presentation was about to start. On the stage was Vesta with Gabriel standing in the back. There was a table positioned in front of Vesta with various potions on it. Welcome everyone to the science department. Today we will be showcasing some of Tempest's most proud scientific advancements. Should anyone have a question, please raise your hand before speaking, announced Vesta. Vesta then took out a full potion from his pocket. This is a full potion. These are the first potions produced by Lord Rimuru. They were refined from hypocrite grass at a rate of 99% efficiency. While not as good a true resurrection potion, this can still cure all ailments, Vesta informed. Now why don't we go slightly off topic? Vesta gestured to Gabriel, who approached the front of the stage. Gabriel then brought out a damaged weapon. Now what do you think would occur should I use this full potion on this damaged weapon? Asked Vesta. One of the attendees raised their hand. Vesta pointed to him. Yes. Of course nothing will happen, potions only work on living things. I had to hide my snort at hearing that. Who got to decide that a weapon couldn't be a living thing? Hell, even a blade of grass is considered a living thing, they have a will of their own too. Vesta shook his head. That is incorrect. He then poured the full potion onto the damaged weapon, and it slowly started to repair itself. Whoa. Impossible. I noticed even Elmagia and Gazelle were paying attention. Siko just looked bored while Raiden was focused on the presentation. Arcuaid was just watching in amusement. It wouldn't surprise me if she already knew of this. We were able to learn that plants have a will to them, so why couldn't weapons? There is however a certain condition to this: the item needs to be made of magisteel. In fact, this reminds me of something. It reminds me of the dryads. Could the plants all around us not grow into powerful dryads? Of course not. If that was the case, there would be far more dryads around the world, informed Vesta. Now one common factor between all the tests was that everything that reacted to the potion possessed some magicules. This led me to the question, what is a magicule? Vesta snapped his fingers, which seemed to be the signal for a projector to be used. Behind Vesta, two images were displayed. These two images are dissections of the hypocrite grass, while the other is a random plant. Can you tell me the difference? They both looked the exact same. Ah, he is probably going to tell people how hypocrite grass is formed. I would have thought more people would be aware. This is a world of magic. Isn't it normal for plants and such to mutate when in contact with intense amounts of magicules? They look the same, said someone. Indeed. They look the same. Now what does this tell you? One thing is for sure, this guy can keep people's attention. Vesta ignored his own question and continued. Now we know how potions are made. They are made by extracting the liquid from hypocrite grass and mixing it with magicules. Tempest has managed to extract liquid with a 99% purity. That is the purity of a full potion. You can even grind up the leaves and mix them with magicules to create an ointment that can be used on wounds. Gabiru took over. Over time we were able to make one crucial discovery. Hypocrite herbs do not exist. What we call hypocrite herbs are really just plants that have been mutated due to extreme levels of magicules littering the area. Hearing this, the audience got extremely excited. What a discovery. This will change the world. Well, if Rimuru wanted to get the world's attention, then this is one hell of a way to do so. I noticed Gazelle was looking at the stage in awe, and Delmagia was sending out a thought communication. They seriously didn't know? Vesta ignored the questions of the audience. Back to my previous question. What is a magicule? We have not been able to solve this riddle just yet, but this has sprouted new questions. Magians and monsters are considered as such due to the high concentration of magicules in their bodies, right? What if we extract all those magicules? Will they become human? Gabiru continued for Vesta. We have not been able to prove our hypothesis, but we will continue to work diligently. Gabiru and Vesta both bowed. Thank you for listening. That was quite enjoyable. My junior has really done something quite astounding today, commented Gazelle. Elmagia nodded along. Indeed, even I did not see that coming. Gazelle smirked. Ha. Even the great Elmagia is stumped. Elmagia glared at Gazelle. Don't make me tell everyone of that time you fought that black spider, little Gazelle. Gazelle's eyes widened in panic. There will be no need for that, Elmagia. Elmagia tilted her head up in superiority. Humphrey, that is what I thought. I walked to the restaurant Rimuru invited me to for dinner. For some reason he wanted to attend a dinner with the four of us. By four he meant himself, me, Hinata, and for some reason Yuki. Part of me thinks that Rimuru is desperately hoping that Yuki is not behind the attack on Tempest. That guy might not look it, but he cares for his friends. Learning that one of his friends could have betrayed him must not feel good at all. Sometimes I think he's a bit too soft for a demon lord, but that's what makes him. Whatever, I'm willing to give Ecchi the benefit of the doubt, seeing as I have no real evidence he was behind Siko's death. No reason to act extremely hostile to him until then. I may be powerful now, but it's best if I don't act like an unreasonable dickhead. That's not the kind of person I want to be. The restaurant Rimuru invited me to seems to be one with some varying food. Once I walked in, I took a look around, looking for Rimuru. Ah, Felix. Over here. I turned towards the voice. It seems Rimuru already got us a table, and I am the last one to arrive. I took a seat next to Hinata, leaving Ecchi and Rimuru across from us. Demon Lord Felix, it is a pleasure to meet you. We did not have much time to speak last time, said the sketchy-looking Japanese man. I gave him a nod. It's nice to meet you as well, Ecchi, I said, keeping my expression even. I turned to my side and gave Hinata once over. She was dressed in a more casual outfit this time, rather than her fancy dress from the other day or her holy knight armor. She was wearing a black top with some shorts. I gave her a wink. Looking good, Hinata. Once she heard me, she gave me a glare and stepped on my foot under the table. Though I could tell she was just trying to hide her embarrassment. Huh. I didn't think I'd ever see the Hinata Sakaguchi be so embarrassed, commented Ecchi. Hinata's gaze snapped to Ecchi, with her glare multiplying tenfold compared to what she used on me. Right. She should have gone to the concert with Felix. It could have been a date. Rimuru cheekily said. Do you wish to die, Rimuru? Commented Hinata. Rimuru nervously laughed. No. Then shut up. Ah, what a tsundere, Rimuru said. Rimuru really is fearless. Before Hinata could say anything, the waiter showed up. That seemed to remind Hinata that we were in a public place, causing her to calm down a bit. Once we gave our orders, Rimuru looked at us smugly. So what did you think about the presentation? I am quite interested in discovering the truth about magicules that Vesta spoke about. Due to my physique, potions do not work on me due to my body naturally purifying the magicules inside the potion, rendering it useless. Hinata whispered at a slightly lower volume. Indeed, you truly have some outstanding subordinates, Rimuru, complimented Ecchi. The four of us continued to chat throughout the night. We made our way to the Colosseum. Now that it was completely finished being made, it was quite awe-inspiring to look at. The Colosseum was large enough to fit 50,000 people at least. And it was built in a fairly short amount of time, all things considered. Rimuru really lucked out recruiting those orcs. I could easily send a dungeon from here as well, the dungeon and the hundreds of thousands of monsters inhabiting it. I'm quite looking forward to when Rimuru unveils that. I wonder if he was able to come up with a power level reader like I suggested. So the tournament is going to be held here, huh? Asked Milim. I nodded. Yup. I think Rimuru plans for a free-for-all to start, where the top 12 or something are allowed to participate in the actual tournament. Carrion nodded beside me. Boss is right. I'm sure a lot of people will want to take this opportunity to prove their worth. This is a perfect opportunity for that. Everyone I brought to Tempest is going to be attending the tournament. We were attracting quite a lot of attention due to the many significant figures in our group. Not to mention the high level of beauty found in our group. Beauty is something humans focus a lot on, hell, not just humans, every race does, including me. There was a line circling all around the entire Colosseum, full of people eager to watch what will most likely be the most exciting fights they've ever seen. Hey, unlike them though, I can cut the line. Mahaha, the benefits of status. I led our group to the side entrance. Rimuru showed me the path to follow last night when we were with Ecchi and Hinata. Lalitina skipped ahead slightly and turned towards me. Do you know who will be participating, Master? I nodded. Yup. There is going to be Carrion, Gobda, Geld, and Keibiru. The rest will be decided through the qualifiers. Lalitina tilted her head. So only weak people, huh? I could tell she just landed a critical hit on Carrion, and also Frey, since she is even weaker than Carrion, at least in pure magicule capacity. Haha, maybe you can find out how weak I am in a spar, Lady Lalitina? Taunted Carrion. Why would I want to fight someone so weak? Lalitina answered cluelessly. I think this is Carrion's way of regaining his pride. Commented Frey. You know she is insulting you too, right, Frey? Yelled Carrion. Frey shook her head. I do not know what you are speaking of. Looks like she is just going to bury her head in the sand. Frey really doesn't want to get on the bad side of a primordial. I left them to their chattering and continued to lead the way. It didn't take us long to reach the VIP seats. Ah, Felix. There you are. And you brought everyone else too. I turned towards the voice. Sup, Rimuru. I waved. I gave a nod to Gazel and Elmgia. One Gazel returned. Elmgia however pouted. No exaggerated greeting for me? Ugh, she's like a child. I sighed. Hello Elmgia. She giggled. Hello Felix. I shook my head, wanting to avoid dealing with her any longer than I had to. I swear, half of these ancient beings are just trolls. Milim rushed past me to look down at the stadium where the fights will be taking place. Whoa. So cool. Rimuru nodded. Yup. The orcs put a lot of effort into it. We could also see some spectators entering the Colosseum and making their ways to their seats. There was a barrier placed all around the arena where the battles will be taking place. It seems strong enough to protect the audience from any attacks that stray from their path. The barrier seemed to be made through Rimuru's ultimate skill, Uriel, Lord of Vows. So it should be more than sufficient to protect the audience. In the worst case, I'm sure Rimuru can actively use his Uriel to protect everyone. Uriel's defensive capabilities are pretty high up there, so it should be fine. While those two were talking about that, I approached Gazel and Elmgia and took my seat beside them. Elmgia and Gazel were each seated on thrones that seemed to be customized for each of them. I realized how that was possible when they hadn't even brought their own thrones as far as I know. The moment I took a seat on the rather plain-looking throne, I realized what to do. I lightly channeled my magicules throughout the chair, causing it to change its appearance based on my desire. I ended up making it black and red with an Ouroboros on the top. I felt it was rather proper. I like this throne quite a bit. Hey Rimuru. Mind if I keep this throne? He looked to me. Yeah sure. I nodded. Thanks. I already have a throne back in my territory, but the more the merrier. I especially like how the throne automatically changes based on my desires. You haven't been formally introduced to my subordinates, huh? Let me introduce you. I pointed to Siko, who had taken her position behind my seat and was puffing up her chest proudly. She seems to be really into this whole bodyguard, secretary role, maybe because this is a public event she wants to be seen like that. The mind of a woman is a mystery, so I may never know, even with Odin. That's Siko, she was the first subordinate I recruited. She is now a wicked Unna. She is quite strong, isn't she? Maybe even as strong as some demon lords. Commented Elmgia. Gazel nodded. Indeed, a fight with her would be quite bothersome. Hearing their praise, Siko smiled proudly. Yup, she has gotten far stronger over time. She is practically incomparable to her previous self at this point. I then pointed to my maid who was standing behind me next to Siko. That is my maid, Raiden. She is a dragon lord of lightning. Raiden gave both Elmgia and Gazel a quick bow. They returned the greeting. I then pointed to my pet fox, who was in her human form, much to her annoyance. That's Kurumi, she is a 9-tailed fox. She gave them a wave. Hello. My name is Kurumi, and I am my master's pet. She always has to introduce herself as that. I'm starting to think she has a pet kink. Upon hearing Kurumi's introduction, both Gazel and Elmgia looked at me curiously, but seeing that I wasn't saying anything, they just returned Kurumi's greeting. I then pointed to my ever-present butler, who seemed to be quite upset as he wanted Siko's position. Currently he has settled to stand beside me rather than behind me. That is Sukuna, my butler. I said, pointing to Sukuna. Another demon, huh? Commented Elmgia. A type of demon, yes. I answered. I'm not sure if Elmgia has encountered variants of demons like Beretta the Chaos Doll, or Sukuna the Cursed Demon. Sukuna gave them a bow. I am my lord's loyal butler. It is a pleasure to meet those in an alliance with him, said Sukuna. Elmgia and Gazel both returned his greetings. He seems to be a little different from his kin, commented Elmgia. I nodded. Yup, he is a mutated demon. Elmgia looked at me curiously. A mutated demon? How interesting. I pointed to Ingvild and Glenda. Those are Ingvild and Glenda, one a demon, the other a human enlightened. Ingvild gave a curtsy while Glenda bowed. It is nice to meet you, King Gazel, Empress Elmgia, said Ingvild. It seems Arcuaid's formality training is working. Gazel and Elmgia both greeted Ingvild. Gazel took a good look at Glenda. Are you not one of the 10 great saints of the Western Holy Church? Glenda laughed nervously. Aha, yeah, I used to be a member of that group. At her admission, Gazel looked to me. I waved off his unspoken question. I can handle the goddess Luminous. Gazel nodded. I pointed over to the side where Carrion and Frey were discussing something. Those two are the former demon lords Carrion and Frey. I then pointed towards Supia, who was looking down into the arena. That's Supia. Hearing her name, Supia jumped in surprise. Ah. Hello Lord Gazel, Lady Elmgia. It is an honor to meet you, said Supia. I then pointed to Albus and Phobio, who were with Carrion. Those two are some of Carrion's subordinates, Albus and Phobio. I then pointed to the demoness trio who had erected thrones of their own, though theirs were a bit smaller than mine. I'm sure they don't need to be introduced, but I'll do it for formality's sake. I first pointed to Arcuaid, who was sitting on a white throne. That is Arcuaid, otherwise known as the Primordial of White, blank. While I no longer go by the title anymore, I am still the Primordial of White, responded Arcuaid. Elmgia and Gazelle nodded, not showing much of a reaction as they had already met Arcuaid. I pointed to the next primordial. That is Megaman, the Primordial of Yellow, also known as Dawn. Hee, as my lord said. The name's Megaman. Era, so she has been the one firing nuclear magic at Leon's territory, commented Elmgia. Gaha, yup. I remember that guy came to negotiate once, but I just ended up attacking him. Such a bore, that one, said Megaman. Elmgia nodded. Indeed, he can take things a little bit too seriously at times. Next is Lalatina, the Primordial of Purple, Violet. I continued. Lalatina gave Gazelle and Elmgia a slightly cruel smile. Hello. I am Lalatina. Make sure you don't cause trouble for my master, though. That last line was unnecessary. Gazelle looked at me. You truly have recruited 3 primordials. I hadn't doubted you, but seeing it in person is quite something. Elmgia nodded. Indeed, should this fact get out, then the balance of power in the world will shatter. Rimuru and Milim had joined us already and were simply listening, something quite surprising for Milim, who knew she could be well behaved. Upon hearing Elmgia, Rimuru rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Ah, and you have recruited Noir, right, Rimuru? Asked Elmgia. Rimuru nodded. Yup, I have. Elmgia nodded in understanding. Hey Felix, you don't introduce me, Humphrey, exclaimed a pouting Milim. I rolled my eyes. I don't think the destroyer needs any introductions. Ah. That's right. The great Milim Nava needs no introductions, said a nodding Milim. Elmgia and Gazelle simply looked at Milim with some nervousness in her gaze. Hey, I'd be surprised if Elmgia wasn't a little bit afraid of Milim. Milim did destroy the original kingdom of the elves after all. Before we could continue, a projection appeared in front of us depicting the arena. The projection focused on various contestants' faces. I called Carrion over, causing him to pause his discussion with Frey. You should probably go now, it seems it is about to start. Carrion nodded. Got it, boss. Hee, hopefully these guys can put on a show. It would be boring if everyone is too weak, commented Milim. I nodded along with her. Yeah, I don't really find it enjoyable to watch a low-level fight. It can even be considered boring. Rimuru, hearing us, sighed. Ugh, you two have such picky standards. Before I could respond to him, the announcer for the tournament spoke up through the projection. Welcome everybody to Tempest's first ever tournament. To start things off, we will be holding the preliminaries, which will be a free-for-all. I went ahead and analyzed the skills of the contestants. Most didn't have anything even moderately useful, though I was able to find something interesting. It seems Rimuru gave 2 of his subordinates a unique gift. A unique gift is a unique skill that is given to someone through a soul corridor. It isn't the shape of the user's mind, rather it is just a fairly quick power-up. Unique gifts are weaker than their unique skill variants, but they can still be useful. Now enough with the introductions. Let's get this started. Chapter 108, The Tournament. Now, enough with the introductions. Let's get this started. We all focused on the screen now that the preliminary rounds are finally starting. I noticed Carrion sneak into the crowd with a lion mask. It's probably best that the other contestants don't know they are competing with a former Demon Lord. Even as just a Demon Lord seed, he was strong, but he was only about 30% below Hinata energy-wise. Alright, this is going to be a free-for-all, so the contestants are free to do anything to survive. The top 8 will be allowed to participate in the upcoming rounds. Now on my mark, start. 1, 2, 3. And go. The moment the announcer started the free-for-all, every contestant sprung into action. There was a mix of humans and non-humans. I could even see some of Hinata's Crusaders in the mix. It didn't take long for the riffraff to be removed, leaving 10 figures standing in the arena. There was Carrion, Gaybiru, Geld, Gobda, one horse Magin and another ox Magin, some human adventurer, Leonard who is one of Hinata's Crusaders, and then 2 other Magin I had never seen before. I didn't bother watching anymore as I already knew who the top 8 would end up being. Those 2 unknown Magin were good, they had to be to outlast the hundreds of other contestants, but they weren't at the A rank which everyone else in the arena was at. Hell, there were Demon Lord seed individuals down there. Those 2 stand no chance. Hey Milim, you wanna bet on who will win this tournament? I asked. Milim looked interested. She nodded. Yup. What does the winner get? There isn't much of a point in asking for a favor, as I'm sure Milim would do me any sort of favor I asked for, and I'd likely do the same. I'd also like to participate, said Elmgia. Milim and I looked at her in surprise. Now that changes things. I'd love a favor from Elmgia. Who knows if it will come in handy someday, but she is the ruler of a superpower. Having a favor from her can only be useful. Then how about the two losers owe the victor a favor? I offered. Milim looked thoughtful before nodding. Okay then. Elmgia also nodded. Hey, I bet she is quite hopeful to get one favor from two separate demon lords. Ah, but nothing too over the top. I'm not going to go fight Guy for your amusement or anything like that, I told Elmgia. Elmgia sighed exaggeratedly. Darn it. I hoped I would get to witness a fight between the legendary Guy Crimson and one of the newest demon lords. I rolled my eyes. Well then, today isn't your day. I guess I will have to settle for what I have, Elmgia said with an amused smile. Rimuru shook his head with an amused smile. So who are you all betting on? I asked. Milim looked thoughtful before nodding. I bet on Gabiru. He's a dragonet after all. I nodded at her and then looked at Elmgia. She was looking down and observing the contestants. I wish to place my bet on the High Orc, she said. Ah, that's Skeld, I responded. A respectable choice. He is very bulky and has two unique skills. Hey, I bet no one will see this coming. I bet on Gobda. I have a feeling that the goblin will surprise me. Rimuru looked at me in surprise. Seriously? Gobda of all people? Hey, aren't you supposed to be supportive of your subordinates? Rimuru coughed lightly. Ah yes, you're right. As expected, you are able to see Gobda's genius. We looked down to start at Gobda, who was picking his nose. I sighed. Maybe I picked the wrong guy, but my gut feeling says I am right. Rimuru nodded. Alright, cope harder buddy. Hey, just you watch. I'm sure Gobda will pull off some super secret bullshit at some point. Please pull off some super secret bullshit, Gobda. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our 8 contestants. We have the mysterious lion mask. And then we have 2 of the dungeon bosses, Mezel and Kazel. Be sure to be at the opening ceremony of the dungeon tomorrow to witness more of their strength. Ah, so that's who they are. We then have the famed A-rank adventurer Gay. His swordsmanship has been compared to dancing. Will he show us a wonderful dance today, or is he doomed to slip and fall? Notice. It has been detected that the individual Gay is being enhanced using a skill. Are you able to tell which skill? It has been detected that the unique skill, Greed, was being used to enhance Gay. One of the Sin series, huh? I wonder who owns Greed then. I assume you analyzed Greed, Odin? Of course. No need to be so sassy, Odin. Now what does this skill do? Ah, it's one of those, huh? A skill that can control others by using their own greed against them. It seems the user of Greed is quite merciless. They are using Gay's own life force to give him this temporary power-up. Oh well, none of my business. This is a dog-eat-dog world. People got to do what they got to do. I'll only intervene if the user does anything untoward during the festival, which they likely will. One does not unlock a Saint series skill by being a benevolent saint. But for now, I'll just watch. Do you know who the user is, Odin? Yes. Odin then focused my senses on an individual in the crowd. Mariabel Rosso, huh? The granddaughter of Grand Rosso, the ruler of the West. There could be a multitude of reasons for her attendance, such as to scout the competition, form an alliance with Tempest, or take control of Rimuru or some of his executives. The list is practically endless. Yeah, I should seriously tell Rimuru. I sent Rimuru a thought communication, which caused a few people in the room to look at me curiously. They could probably sense the thought communication. Felix? Did something happen? Not yet, but a possibility in the future. Someone is in attendance with a mind control skill. You should be wary of that. Her mind control can work on even your executives. Seriously? That's bad. Who is she? Her name is Mariabel Rosso, and you could say she wields considerable influence in the West. You definitely shouldn't have her disappear in Tempest. That's a political incident waiting to happen. Why would I make her disappear? You always jump to the most extreme options. Just like Diablo, no wonder you two are in the same lineage. Haha, I guess we are similar in some way. Anyways, just keep an eye on her. Got it? I'll send Zai to monitor her. With that, we went back to watching the tournament. Hopefully Rimuru can handle everything on his own. I didn't want to give too much information. He needs to learn some of these things himself, me helping him may cripple him later down the line. I gave him enough information to work with, he should be able to figure out the rest on his own. And if something goes incredibly wrong, I can always help. That's what friends are for, right? We then have some of Tempest's own. They are some of the proud lieutenants of the Tempest Federation. They are said to be some of the strongest in Tempest, and if they end up winning they can become one of the 4 heavenly kings. A force so mighty that they are under the direct supervision of Demon Lord Rimuru. It seems someone has spread some rumors. There is the mighty Gobta. He may look small and weak, but he sure packs a punch. We then have the powerful High Geld. Good luck getting past his defense. Then there is the Dragonet Gabiru of the science department. And then last but certainly not least we have one of humanity's proud warriors, the mighty Leonard Jester, member of the 10 Great Saints. The cheers were thunderous, though it is understandable. These guys need as much excitement in their lives as possible. I noticed Diablo show up on the field now. Well, he is the referee. I doubt anyone will be willing to disobey him. I pointed to Diablo on the screen. And that's Diablo, the primordial of black. I introduced. Is it really safe to have him down there, Rimuru? Asked Gazelle. Rimuru nodded confidently. Of course. Diablo would never disobey one of my direct orders. It will be quite interesting to see to what extent the primordial of black is tamed, well, interesting or catastrophic. Commented Elmgia. I laughed hearing her. I wouldn't worry too much. Unfortunately not all of us can afford to brush off a primordial. Responded Elmgia. Indeed. Only the most magnificent of beings like my master are afforded such an honor. Not many can claim to match, let alone surpass us. The only one that comes to mind in recent years is that hero, Cronoa, I think her name was. Responded Lalitina, who was now lounging on her throne with some wine in her hands. Just where did she get that wine from? I noticed Arcuaid and Megaman nodding along from beside her. These overzealous primordials. Indeed. Added Siko. While Raiden just silently stood behind me. Kuakaku. Of course, our magnificent lord has no reason to take some riffraff seriously. Said Sukino with a proud smirk. Wait a second. Granoa? Lalitina nodded. Indeed, she was a hero that I had crossed paths with. She was able to fight me on even footing, though I'm not sure what happened to her. She has not been seen in a long time. I'm fairly certain Cronoa is the name of the hero that sealed Veldora. She was known as a hero throughout the Western nations some decades ago. Who knew that Lalitina had fought her? These primordials have seriously been all over the place. Ah, quite some interesting subordinates you have. Said Elmgia with an amused smile. I nodded. Yeah, that's one way to say it. These guys are basically my own personal hype team. We focused back on the projection as the tournament finally began. The first match was Mazel vs Kozel. It was a fairly boring match since those two were only in the A rank range. I'm guessing they will only be floor bosses up to the 40th floor, they are far too weak for higher than that. Their fight ended up in a tie as they both fell unconscious at the same time. Talk about an anime moment. Well, at least the crowd seemed to like it. After that was Carrion vs Gabiru, though Carrion was under the alias of Lion Mask. This fight was a bit more interesting. Carrion did end up holding back from fully utilizing his unique skill, but it was still enjoyable to watch. The main thing to decide the match was that Carrion could not use his transformations, as that would out him as the ex-demon Lord Carrion. Using a combination of dragon body and dragon scale, Gabiru was able to elevate himself to the demon lord seed level and make quick work of Carrion. Though I later learned that the two agreed to a rematch when they could both go all out. Next was Gobta against Gei. Gobta easily basically stomped Gei. Gobta might not be very confident in his abilities, but his swordsmanship spoke for itself. Gobta was somewhat strong, I'll give him that much. Hell, he could even be considered a prodigy, a stupid prodigy but a prodigy nonetheless. I don't even consider myself a prodigy. Without Odin or her lesser version, Cursed Sage, I doubt I'd be where I am now. After that was a bit of a closer match. Geld against Leonard. Leonard had to pull out all his cards, meaning his light spirit magic, his battle will arts, and his elemental mail. For an enlightened, he is incredibly strong, likely near the top of the enlightened range and at the Daemon Lord seed level. What the fuck is he not defeating these guys? Still, in the end Leonard lost. He wasn't able to match up to two unique skills, each incredible on their own. Though I could tell, both Leonard and Geld gained some respect for each other. Who knew the best way to make humans and Majin get along was through battle? And then there were three. We now have our three final contestants. There is Gobta the Black Horse. Who knew such a scrawny-looking goblin could have so much strength? Even I was surprised watching him systematically take the A-rank adventurer Gei apart. Then there is the Dragonet Gabiru, king of the sky due to the sheer control he has when in the air. And finally, we have the High Geld, also known as the Wall. Hee, king of the sky. You hear that, Frey? Taunted Carrion. Even I can admit that the Dragonet is incredibly powerful. After all, he beat you, did he not, Carrion? I think I can allow him to hold a similar title to my own. Responded Frey. Carrion looked offended. Hey. I couldn't go all out, or my identity would be revealed. Everyone ignored their bickering as we watched on. Who will win between these three mighty forces? The semi-finals were soon underway. The matchup was decided by picking names in a basket, so it was as random as possible. Rimuru or I would be able to detect if someone tampered with the odds, so it should have been quite fair. The first matchup was Geld against Gabiru. This guaranteed Gobta spot among the 4 heavenly kings. Now to see if I will win our little bet. The semi-finals of the first Tempest tournament have been decided. Now, who will win and advance to the finals? Geld the Wall, or Gabiru, King of the Sky? The match soon started with Diablo standing at the ready in case he needed to intervene. Gabiru brought out his Vortex Spear and took to the skies while Geld remained on the ground, though Geld did boost his defense using a sub-skill of Guardian. That seems to be a fairly decent weapon, commented Gazel. Rimuru nodded. Yeah, it is apparently something that was passed down through the Lizardman tribe. It's a unique grade spear. Gazel nodded. I see, it seems to have the potential for further growth. We continued to observe the fight. Once Gabiru had a height advantage on Geld, he aimed his thunder breath at Geld, who was easily able to avoid it. He may be a large orc, but he is still fairly quick. That body enhancement ability of the Dragonet is quite impressive. It seems to be taking in the surrounding magicules and boosting his physique, enhancing his strength considerably. Commented Elmgia. I nodded. Yeah, with Dragon Body I'd say Gabiru would be able to rival Carrion, and probably surpass him eventually if Carrion keeps slacking off. I answered. Carrion looked at me in shock. Boss? However, I just ignored him. Hopefully, he will start training with more intensity now that he knows just how many people can rival his strength. In Tempest alone there were multiple that were likely stronger than him. Carrion really needs to get it in his head that he ain't shit in this world. At this point, Gabiru was fully decked out with his dragon body. Gabiru kept sending potshots using his height advantage while Geld defended and occasionally returned fire. The fight itself was not very action-packed, but the audience still seemed to enjoy it, as evidenced by their cheers. Eventually, Gabiru grew bored of his potshots and began imbuing his fighting spirit into his spear, which created a water vortex. Geld, seeing this incoming, quickly prepared to defend and then counterattack. The moment Gabiru's attack reached Geld, he used predation to consume the attack. Sadly for Geld, his predation was far from that of Gluttony's, it could only consume something armor-sized at most. Geld pushed himself a bit too hard to consume the water vortex. So, while he was able to consume it, he ended up falling unconscious due to overexertion. Ah, what an anticlimactic end. I commented. Hee, it was still a little fun to watch. Now for the finals, said Milim. Hey, it seems you've lost your part in the bet, Elmgia, I said, looking at her. Elmgia only pouted at me before nodding. I will keep to my end of the deal so long as the favor is not too much. I nodded, hearing that. As I watched the screen, I expanded my senses and headed down towards the arena itself. Huh? That's odd. It seems Gobta developed a unique skill of his own in this short period of time that I wasn't observing him. The unique skill, Give Me Strength, is a skill that greatly helps Gobta when fighting together with Ranga. Give Me Strength allows Gobta to summon Ranga and unify with him, creating a single being out of 2 beings. This new single being has the combined strength of both Gobta and Ranga. This included all their skills. And while Gobta's strength lies in his swordsmanship rather than power, Ranga's lies in his pure power. Together, they make a fairly interesting team. We now have our final 2 contestants. No matter who wins between these 2, both will become members of the 4 Heavenly Kings, Lord Rimmeru's most elite subordinates. Now, without further ado, let's get this started. The moment the battle started, Gobta raised his hand. Ranga. To me. I noticed Rimmeru look down at his shadow in surprise. Hey, it seems he wasn't aware of Gobta's new skill. Once Ranga appeared on the field, Gabiru stopped what he was doing and just looked confused. Unfortunately, that gave Gobta enough time to fuse with Ranga. The 2 sorta looked like a werewolf now. And they were far, far stronger than before. Stronger than even Carrion and Glenda, though still weaker than my 8 demonic lords. Still, this Ranga and Gobta combination is approaching that level. I noticed Elmgia and Gazel looking down at the arena in shock. Hey, I told you that goblin has a trick or 2. I commented smugly. Rimmeru was just confused. Is that allowed? Said Rimmeru. I snorted. Isn't this your tournament? I mean, technically Ranga is a summon, and he was summoned using Gobta's own power. It's no different from Leonard summoning an elemental. I added. That is technically true. Said Rimmeru. Some of the audience protested but were calmed down by the announcer. I noticed Gobta was having trouble controlling his newfound strength. He charged at Gabiru but overshot slightly, causing him to miss. Still, Gobta was expertly wielding Black Lightning full of Eldora's Storm attribute. This battle was decided the moment Gobta fused with Ranga. Even Gabiru's aerial advantage was negated since Ranga could manipulate lightning like it was his limb. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a winner of the first Tempest tournament. I'm sure no one saw that coming. We now have our third and fourth members of the four heavenly kings, Gobta and Geld. The cheers of the audience were deafening. Hey, guess who owes me a favor? Milim pouted at me. Fine, you win this time, Felix. Elmgia nodded. Indeed, I shall have my revenge. Hey, I bet hearing that from Elmgia would scare most people to death. Hee, of course, my master's choice would win. Said Lalitina. That was quite an enjoyable show. Commented Arcuaid. Megaman was pouting. I wish there were more explosions. I'm glad you liked it. Responded Rimuru with a nervous smile. Rimuru then looked to Elmgia. For that meeting you wanted, would tonight work? Elmgia nodded. Very well, that will suffice. Alright, I'll have one of my subordinates lead you to the meeting room tonight when the time comes. Rimuru then turned to look at me. Did you want to attend too, Felix? I shook my head. Nah, we already had a talk before, but maybe Arcuaid might? I looked at Arcuaid, who nodded. I am willing to represent my lord during this meeting. Well, you heard her then. Rimuru nodded. Yup, I'll have someone bring her over too then. Hey, at least I don't need to attend some boring meeting. Rimuru should be able to handle himself, so it should be fine. For some reason, Milim seemed to have a thoughtful face. A Milim who is thinking could be catastrophic. What's up, Milim? I asked curiously. I think I'll be train that goblin up a bit. He has some potential so he can be my playmate. Said an enthusiastic Milim. Poor Gobta. Rimuru seemed to be ready to throw Gobta to the wolves. Rimuru looked at Milim and nodded. I have no problems with that. If Gobta gets stronger, that can only be better for Tempest, but don't kill him. Ooh. I can use the dungeon so he can keep reviving. Said Milim. That's actually a good idea. That way, he can get some real life and death experience while, staying alive. Agreed Rimuru. It sorta sounds like you are planning out Gobta's future torture sessions. I added in. Rimuru shook his head. Of course not. As the caring lord that I am, it is only proper that I have Gobta trained to his fullest potential. Carrion looked at me in fear. I'll train boss. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't leave me with them. I, however, ignored Carrion. Hey, well, have fun, I guess. And with that, I teleported our group out. Tomorrow is the opening ceremony of the dungeon, which will conclude all the events planned for the Tempest Founding Festival. Though the festival does not end tomorrow, people are still free to explore and enjoy the attractions for a few days before the festival officially ends. I teleported to the 100th floor of the dungeon. The ceremony is going to be starting quite soon now. There is already a massive crowd gathered in front of the dungeon. Rimuru, Veldora, and Ramarise were all discussing something. I gave them a wave. What's up? You guys ready to start soon? Ramarise puffed up her chest. Of course. Gahaha, of course, we are ready. Soon, everyone shall learn of my domain. Veldora boasted. Your domain? Rimuru asked with a raised eyebrow. Cough cough I mean our domain, ha ha ha. Corrected Veldora. Alright, make sure all the safety measures are in place, we can't have anything going wrong today. Ramarise nodded seriously. Don't worry, Rimuru. We got this handled. Hearing Ramarise say that makes me worry. Milim stopped by earlier and took 2 revival bracelets. Said Ramarise. She must have already started torturing Gobta and by extension Ranga. I see. Where is she training? Asked Rimuru. She is using floors 96 to 99, the Dragon's Den. Responded Ramarise. Rimuru nodded in understanding. Well, they should be fine, right? Said Rimuru. I couldn't find it in myself to agree. Gobta and Ranga will likely come out stronger but extremely traumatized. Will Zijin be one of the floor bosses? I asked. Veldora shook his head. Maybe someday. Currently, I am training him up more. Maybe when he is a little bit stronger, I can have him rotate floors. Haha, he said he wants to be Rimuru's most useful subordinate. Well, he has some competition then. I added. Indeed. Veldora all of a sudden snapped his gaze to Rimuru. Rimuru. Yes, Veldora? Could I ask a favor of you? Said Veldora. Veldora asking for a favor is new. He usually just does what he wants. If I can grant it, I'll do it as a reward for your efforts. Responded Rimuru. Great. Then could you release my friend Ifrit from your stomach? Asked Veldora. Ifrit? I think that was the elemental of that woman Rimuru bonded with, Shizu. Ifrit should be a greater elemental of fire, so around the A rank, Maybe A+ if you push it. Rimuru looked unsure. I'm not sure that's a good idea. What if he's upset about being sealed inside my stomach and begins attacking everything? Haha, no need to worry, Rimuru. While we were in your stomach, we were able to see the world through your eyes. After everything you've done, Ifrit wouldn't dare to go against you. That experience also helped change him quite a bit. It allowed him to see through a different point of view. He even said he understood why your friend, Shizu, did what she did. Rimuru looked at Veldora in surprise. Seriously? Veldora nodded. Indeed. But wasn't Ifrit serving Demon Lord Leon before? Asked Rimuru. Veldora nodded. He did, but don't worry. Ifrit pledged to be my assistant when I was leaving your stomach. Rimuru sighed. Fine, I'll give him a chance. But you are responsible for Ifrit, Veldora. Veldora nodded confidently. Don't worry, Rimuru. Ramarise discreetly gave Veldora a thumbs up, causing him to give her one of his own. This sounds interesting, so I'll stay here and watch. I said. Veldora nodded. Haha, I'll introduce you to Ifrit Felix. We can all play games together. I nodded. Sure, that's fine with me. However, all of a sudden, I sensed an unusual presence right outside the dungeon with the rest of the crowd. Now, why is she here? Even Rimuru looked quite surprised and wary. Normally, we wouldn't be able to detect her unless we were specifically looking for her, but it is far easier when she is practically right next to us. Even in the dungeon, which was basically a separate dimension. I tapped him on the shoulder. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. There is a good chance she is here for me. Rimuru nodded. After all, I don't know what other sort of reason a servant of Guy Crimson would appear in Tempest unannounced. I just hope he didn't send someone to warn Rimuru about Velzard coming here. That would be very chaotic. I did tell her to go to my territory first, but who knows if Velzard will listen. I teleported next to an inconspicuous blue-haired woman. She was standing near the back of the crowd, seemingly trying to blend in. I sighed. Why are you here, Rain? She easily maintained her expression even though I'm sure she didn't know I was here. Like hell, a demon duke could sense me if I did not want to be sensed. Lord Felix. She greeted me with a short bow. I examined her outfit, and she was wearing a suit with some sunglasses. She looked like a standard secretary. I'm going to repeat my question, why are you here? Did Guy send you for something? Rain waved her hands in panic. No, I'm just here in my own time. I've always been interested in these sorts of things, and I finally got some time off after bugging Lord Guy for some time off. I looked at her with distrust. You? Interested in something like the dungeon? Rain puffed up her chest. But of course. I have always been interested in the arts and magic creations. I even created a doppelganger artifact that creates a duplicate of you. Of course, it is limited to a certain level. I looked at her with interest. Oh, if you made something like that, then I'd believe you. Can I see it? Of course, I already knew she was telling the truth. Having the god of analysis, Odin, made it easy. Even a primordial was incapable of hiding anything from Odin. Of course, Lord Felix. Rain said while taking something out of her spatial storage. Ooh, looks like she has some goodies in there. Thanks to our bros, it is fairly simple for me to access other people's spatial storages. Nothing is safe from me. She presented the artifact, which was in the form of a bracelet. Odin. As she had said, the artifact seems to have the same effects as what she claimed. Nice, make sure to analyze it so we can replicate it. I can put it in the pool of artifacts my soldiers can choose from as a reward. Affirmative. I nodded and handed the artifact back. Alright, I believe you then. Rain sighed in relief. That's good. I don't know what I would have done if you didn't. Run and hide? I commented. Rain nodded. Yes, most likely that. She seems far more chill than most of her brethren. I have decided that I am going to accompany you for a little bit. You do not have the option to reject. I told Rain. She seems like someone who could be fun to annoy. Rain's shoulders sagged. Not another rouge. She muttered under her breath. Haha, well, deal with it. I responded. Rain nodded. I must deal with it. Your types never take no for an answer. Ugh, why did I let misery convince me into attacking Rouge so long ago? I ruffled her hair. Don't bring up the past. Look towards the future. Those words weren't as inspiring as you think they were. Responded Rain. I sagged my shoulders. Really? I thought they were good. They were good, right Odin? Apostrophe. Come on, it couldn't have been that bad. If you still wish to follow me around in your quest to annoy me, then I must inform you that I will be meeting with someone shortly. Said Rain. Oh? Who? I asked. A business partner. Huh. I wonder who could catch the attention of the primordial of blue. Well, lead the way. I'm interested now. I ordered. Yes, yes, Lord Felix, she said as she began walking around the crowd and made her way to one of the restaurants nearby. It seems she has already arrived. I can sense her in the restaurant up ahead, said Rain. I wasn't able to particularly tell the individual apart. There were all sorts of people around, after all. Who knew who it could be? You know, you're quite different from the image you gave when we first met. You seemed like a proper maid back then. Rain looked at me, offended. I am a proper maid. I'm just on vacation, Humphrey. For some reason, I doubt that. No wonder Guy looked so fed up with you. He probably expected a proper maid. Lord Guy appreciates and values me. I do not know what you are speaking of, Rain said, continuing to live in her delusion. We soon made our way to one of the numerous ramen stands in Tempest. It looked rather similar to a kairaku from Naruto, with a curtain and some stools. Rain moved the curtain aside and took a seat next to a woman. I followed her lead and took the other seat next to this mysterious business partner. Ah. Rain, there you are. I was wondering when you would find me. And you brought someone new, too. The woman seemed quite messy. Her hair was frazzled, and she was wearing googly-eyed glasses. Ah, right. How have you been, Hypno Eyes? Asked Rain. Gah. Stop calling me Hypno Eyes. How many times do I have to tell you to not call me that? Hey, you two look like you get along quite well, I commented. Ah, right. Who did you bring here, Rain? It's impolite not to introduce me to Mr. Handsome over here. Mr. Handsome, eh? This girl has good taste. Ah, right. That's Demon Lord Felix White, Rain said dully. Gah. Why would you bring a Demon Lord to meet me? No disrespect, Mr. Demon Lord. He wanted to follow me along, so I let him. It's not like I intentionally asked him to come with me to meet you, responded Rain. Haha, no need to be so panicked. As long as you don't do anything stupid, I won't harm you, I replied, trying to ease her nervousness. This woman was just a mere enlightened after all. It's normal to be fearful of a demon lord at that level. Enlightened are generally only on par with demon lord seeds, with the very top level of enlightened being comparable to an incomplete saint. I wouldn't dream of offending a demon lord, said the mysterious woman. I looked to Rain. What is this woman's name? I keep calling her mysterious woman in my head. Ah, her name is Sasha, said Rain. I nodded. Sasha then. Eh? How can you be so composed around a demon lord? Asked Sasha while looking at Rain. Could she not know who Rain is? I guess that is fairly normal. Most aren't aware of primordials, and most aren't aware of who Guy Crimson's servants are. Rain waved Sasha off. Calm down, Hypno Eyes. Anyways, let's order some food. Rain went ahead and gave her order to the nervous-looking goblin. I ended up going with miso ramen. It didn't take long for the ramen to be served. So, Rain, how did you two meet? I asked. Oh. Sasha is a regular buyer of my work, so I've kept a bit of an eye on her, responded Rain. I nodded. I see. Sasha nodded along. Yup. I develop magic tools while Rain helps me with some of the designs since I suck at those kinds of things. So then Sasha is the one who came up with the doppelganger bracelet while you just made the visual design? I asked Rain. Rain nodded. Wow, she made it seem like she did all the work. Ah. She showed you that? I'm a bit embarrassed that a demon lord saw some of my work. Haha, no need to be nervous. The magic tool actually seemed quite interesting. Hee, thank you. It's not often people praise me for my work. It only used to be my master, Lord Gadra. Gadra? I asked. Ah, he is the court mage for the Eastern Empire. It's said he is as strong as a demon lord. But that rumor is probably exaggerated. Rain here is super good at controlling magic, and I wouldn't be surprised if she were as strong as a demon lord, said Sasha. Hey, she doesn't know how right she is. But the court mage of the Eastern Empire, huh? I don't know what he looks like now though. He reincarnates himself to extend his lifespan after all. I had to come up with my own way to increase my lifespan as well. I nodded. Those both seem like interesting arts. As we were conversing, I noticed Diablo appear rather close by. He immediately hid himself, but I could still sense him. And it seems Rain can as well if her wary looks are anything to go by. Rimuru probably sent him to make sure everything was okay. Being compared to a demon lord is no small feat. Though that could also mean demon lord seed level. You must be someone somewhat talented to catch the attention of someone like that. Sasha nervously rubbed the back of her head. Ah, I really am no good at fighting. The only reason I am an enlightened is due to all the scientific work I have done. Maybe I can recruit her? I can always put her at the head of the science department back in my territory. I don't really care much about all that stuff, but it could come in handy at some point. Why don't you come work for me? I offered. Sasha looked at me with surprise. Ah. Work for a Daemon lord? I can supply you with all the stuff you need and even give you your own personal lab, you know. I said, sweetening the deal. Maybe I can have her take a look at the underground ruins under my territory. I haven't got much of a chance to explore those, so maybe she can gather some more information about them. Not to mention, she seems to be quite a genius. The doppelganger bracelet is an incredible tool for the weak. After all, for them, numbers do matter. It's not a bad offer. Commented Rain. What is she playing at? Why would she help me? And there's the thought communication. What are you playing at, Rain? Ah, no need to take that tone with me, Lord Felix. I don't mean to offend you. How about this? I will help you recruit Sasha, and in return, I would like to request that you come to spar with Lord Guy from time to time. Why would you want that? Lord Guy has been in an awfully good mood since you two fought. When he is in a good mood he is generous, that's why I got this vacation. Of course, her reasoning involves her trying to slack off. What a useless maid. I think I can understand Guy a bit more now. Fine, I'll do it. I was already planning on doing that, so this is a win-win situation for me. Excellent. I'm sure Lord Felix will offer plenty of benefits. Not to mention, having a strong backer will be helpful. I heard he even sparred with the demon Lord Guy Crimson. Added Rain. Hey, she's already getting to work. Hearing that last bit, Sasha looked at me in surprise. Seriously? I nodded. Seriously. Sasha had a determined look on her face. All right. I accept the offer. I will be your faithful servant from now on, Lord Felix. I nodded in satisfaction. Good. Rain shot me a discreet thumbs up. Ah, but what about my mansion, though? Asked Sasha. I can transfer it over to my territory, Azur Oath. I offered. Whoa. You can do that? Asked Sasha. I nodded. Of course. Even Rain seemed to be quite surprised. It seems she hasn't seen very high-level spatial feats. Ah, how do you do it? Is it some skill? Something only you can do, or can it be replicated? Sasha said, a mad hint in her voice. It seems I have recruited myself a mad scientist. Perfect? Haha, I'll give you some time to study it another time. I offered. Thank you, Lord Felix. I will notify my customers of my move as soon as possible. Said an excited Sasha. Ah, of course, she has other customers. Alright, that's fine. I'll move your mansion to some open land another time after the festival is over. Yes, Lord Felix. Rain looked at me smugly. It was as if she were saying, see. Look, I can be useful too. You can come out now, Diablo. I spoke to the open air. Diablo, in his standard butler outfit, appeared behind me. I apologize for the distraction, Lord Felix. I was ordered to make sure nothing had happened and did not wish to disturb your conversation. That's fine, Diablo. We were just finishing up here. Tell Rimuru it'll be fine. Diablo nodded. Very well, Lord Felix. And with that, he vanished, not even sparing Rain a glance. Grr, that arrogant piece of alright, let's get moving. I interrupt. Rain sighed, releasing her anger. Once we had left the ramen stand, I looked at Rain and Sasha. Alright, you two. I'll leave you to do whatever you want now. Make sure not to cause trouble. I'm looking at you, Rain. Yes, Lord Felix. Responded Sasha while Rain just pouted at me. Ah, by the way, Sasha. Head to these coordinates whenever you are free for the day. One of my subordinates will give you some much-needed information. I said, handing Sasha a parchment. I can just throw Sasha onto Arcuade's head. Proper delegation. Very well, Lord Felix. Rain shouldn't be causing any trouble now, so it should be fine if I leave her alone. With that, I teleported back to the final floor of the dungeon where Rimuru, Veldora, Ramiris, and one new being were still located. Ah. My friend Felix. You have arrived just in time for me to introduce you. Veldora said while pointing at a masculine-looking being. That must be Ifrit, then. This is Trace. One of my new subordinates. The now named Ifrit bowed towards me. It is an honor to meet you, Lord Felix. Notice. It has been detected that the being known as Trace is inhabiting the core of Charybdis. His body is also made of dragatite, and he is of a new race known as Flame Lord. Flame Lords can be considered to be monsterized versions of an elemental Lord of Flame. Flame Lord is a race that is a spiritual life form that has gained a physical body through monsterification, essentially, exposure to a massive amount of magicules. He even has the flame element, huh? The flame element can be considered the superior version of the fire element. Along with that, Odin compared him to an elemental lord, And from the power I am sensing, her comparison is not wrong. Trees has an incredible amount of power inside of him, easily at the awakened Demon Lord level. Though he would still be defeated by each of my direct subordinates, they have each grown strong, even slightly surpassing the standard awakened Demon Lord level. Still, even then, Trees could be considered to be on his way to approaching their level. Veldora really got himself one hell of a subordinate. Amazing, right? What do you think, Felix? Asked Veldora. He's definitely something. Having a subordinate who is this strong will be quite useful. Veldora nodded. Alright, enough about that, said Rimuru. What was up with that super strong visitor? Asked Rimuru. I thought Diablo would have told you. Rimuru nodded. He did, but I want to hear it from you too. I rolled my eyes. Fine. You don't need to worry about the visitor. She is one of Guy's maids, the primordial of blue, also known as rain. Ugh, there is seriously another primordial here? The only one missing out of the pack is Guy himself and his other maid. I nodded. Yup, that's right. Still, chill out, I made sure Rain isn't here to cause trouble. Rimuru sighed. Fine, I trust you. Anyways, the opening ceremony is about to start. Are you coming to the VIP area with me? Asked Rimuru. I nodded. Yeah, my subordinates are already there waiting for me too. Rimuru nodded in understanding. Well, it's time to kick off the last true event of the Tempest Founding Festival. Chapter 109, The Dungeon Released. Just before Rimuru was about to teleport us, I interrupted him. By the way, did you get that power level thing I mentioned working? Ramaris is the one who answered. Of course, the great Ramaris can do such a thing. Rimuru nodded. Yeah, we will be showing that off during the opening ceremony as well. I nodded. Great. Hey, I wonder what my power level is. Rimuru closed his eyes for a moment before looking at me. If you want, we can check before we go. I just checked, and we do have some time. I nodded. Alright then, let's do that. We used my small world to quantify the level of each life form and construct a relevant database. We are calling the energy a living being can gain, like magicules, holy power, aura, magic power, and everything existence value. While the numerical representative of everything is called existence points. Ramaris informed. Even aura, huh? There were various kinds of aura, divine key, which is released by beings with divinity, draconic aura, which is released by true dragons and their offshoots, fighting spirit, an aura released when fighting, though a truly skilled practitioner can use it as they wish. Then there is holy key, which is released by holy beings. Key sign, which is the natural aura all living beings have. Mystic key, the aura released by magians, monsters, and magic beasts. Spirit key, which is released primarily by elementals. Supreme key, which is unique to those with Haki. Then there is sword key, which is released by skilled swordsmen. For this system of Rimarus to be capable of picking up all the various types of aura is damn impressive. Yup. Now, existence points are basically a numerical quantity that we assign to someone based on their magicule capacity, physical ability, as well as any equipment they may have at the time. Of course, actual battle prowess may be different due to various skills and personal training. Rimuru added. I nodded. Still, that is quite useful. It's better than even the current free guild's ranking system. You can use the existence points as a reference. Rimuru nodded. Yup. Of course, this is still something new, so we plan to test it a bit more with all the adventurers before we actually begin using it in military operations. I nodded. Now that I have examined the dungeon through my administrator access, I can see how this new function works. Odin, could you analyze and replicate it? Answer. It is easy with Millimai. No need to be so cocky, but do it. The task has been accomplished. Good work, Odin. Now, I can examine the existence points of anyone I analyze as long as they aren't capable of hiding their power from me. Not many beings like that exist, but there are some. If I want to get an accurate reading of those few individuals, I'd need to bring them to the dungeon, as Ramari's small world basically bypasses all sorts of defenses. If I can get Yuki in here, I should be able to get a detailed analysis on him. All I currently know about him is his anti-skill attribute, and that he possesses a single unique skill. Still, even that information is good, I just need to plan around his anti-skill, but worst case I can jump him in the dungeon. But that probably isn't a good idea. It's practically a political incident waiting to happen. Still, food for thought. I focused back on Rimuru. Have you had the existence points of anyone else measured? I asked. Rimuru nodded. Yup, wanna hear about them? Yeah, sure. Well, Hikaru's existence points is at around 60,000, while Gobta's is a little less than 20,000. The entire reason we are a bit wary of utilizing existence points for serious intel gathering is that Gobta can easily take on those with over 100,000 existence points single-handedly," said Rimuru. I nodded. "Yeah, I see where you are coming from. Still, both Hikaru and Gobta don't have all that much raw power but make up for it in pure skill. Especially for Gobta, as he can merge with Ranga to gain all the raw power he needs. I don't think they are the standard to base everyone else's ability on." Rimuru agreed. "Right." Rimuru led me to the control room, which could be used to observe basically all of the dungeon. "Alright, this is the room where we can read the number from, so it's easier to just do the scan from here." "Ah, we were able to associate the existence points with certain ranks from the free guild system," added Rimuru. "It goes, less than 1000 is E-class. D-class is from 1000 to less than 3000. C-class is from 3000 to less than 6000. B-class is from 6000 to less than 8000. B-plus class is from 8000 to less than 9000. A minus class is from 9000 to less than 10,000. After this point, it is a large gulf in power. If someone can make it to the next level, they could be said to be first-class adventurers," informed Rimuru. "Man, he really went all out on this, though I can understand. This whole ranking system reminds me a lot of MRGs. I'm sure adventurers will love seeing their numbers go up over time. I know I would. After those levels is the rank for those with an existence points of over 10,000, which is roughly around hazard class. Over 100,000 is special A class, so around calamity class. We were able to determine that the Demon Lord seed level is around the 200,000 level. Frey herself has 400,000 existence points. Going by that information, S class, also known as disaster class, is around 400,000. We just call that level S class since there are quite a few people currently in Tempest that should be at or higher than that level. You get that so far?" I rolled my eyes. Yes, I can quite easily comprehend what you are saying. I do not need to rely on an artificial intelligence for everything. That is blatantly false. I rely on Odin for almost anything even remotely complicated, but Rimuru doesn't need to know that. "Hey! What was that personal attack for?" shouted Rimuru. "You questioned my intelligence first," I retorted. "Grr, fine. Moving on. Then for those awakened transcendents, we placed them at a minimum of 1 million, but awakened demon lord should be higher than even that. We call it special S class," said Rimuru. "How did you know at what level to put awakened individuals?" I asked. "Ah, I just used you as a base, pre-harvest festival of course. Milim said after that fight with that clown you were roughly as strong as a saint, if not a bit higher, so I lowered it slightly," said Rimuru. I nodded in understanding. We decided to call this class Million class for quicker understanding, but special S class works as well," Rimuru informed. "And then it just gets higher from there," added Ramaris. Rimuru then handed me a list he created. We have the various base existence points of a few races on there. Through analysis we were able to list the average down. I took a look at the list, my eyes zoned in on Archdemon. The maximum existence points of an Archdemon is 140,000 no matter who summons the demon. To rise any higher they need to break their limiter through naming, or attaining a material body. Greater Magin were listed to have 100,000 existence points or greater, Enlightened at 100,000 plus, and Saints at 1,000,000 plus. It seems Rimuru wasn't able to get an accurate read on divine humans, but I don't blame him. I haven't even heard of a divine human, let alone met one before. Hell, the only other beings with divinity I've met so far are Guy, the true dragons, Milim, Rimuru, Luminous, Dagrul, and Dino. Almost all of them are demon lords. I saw various other races on the list but decided to take a better look at it later. This is actually really good. Good work, Ramaris. I praised. Ramaris flew up to me with her chest puffed up. Haha, now you know how amazing the great Ramaris truly is. Hey, I'm still willing to take you on as a minion if you want, she said. I lightly shook my head. I'm good. Now let's check your existence points, said Rimuru. Even Veldora seemed to be a bit interested. Did you measure Veldora's existence points? I asked. Veldora nodded with a smug grin. Gaha, of course, the mighty Veldora has enough existence points to match. I have over 88 million existence points. My eyes widened upon hearing that. That is an awfully large number, but it doesn't surprise me all that much. Existence points are basically measured on energy and physical power. Both of those don't matter an incredible amount in a high-level fight. Sure, they are important, but they can be worked around. Look at me, I may have a far lower magicule capacity than Veldora, but I would definitely last longer in a fight due to magicule breeder reactor. As long as you have enough magicules to fuel all of your abilities, you'll generally be fine. Though the larger your general energy capacity is, the greater your output of it as well, which allows you to use far more powerful abilities. Still, I decided to be supportive. I shot Veldora a thumbs up. Nice. Veldora's is the highest existence points we have recorded. Rimuru commented. True dragons are busted. I comment. Something both Rimuru, Ramires, and Veldora seem to agree with if their nuts are any indication. Gaha, I have the highest magicule capacity among all the true dragons, excluding my elder brother. Veldora boasted. But didn't you say you always lost to them? I asked. Veldora nodded sheepishly. Well, didn't you say you have the grown leaps and bounds when it comes to controlling your power? Maybe you can stand up to them now. I comment. I don't believe Veldora can stand up against Velzard for a moment. Veldora might have more magicules, but the sheer power and control Velzard possesses is not something that can easily be matched. But his other sister is not out of the question. I've never met his other sister, the Scorched Dragon Velgrund. All that I know about her is that she is the Eastern Empire's guardian deity of sorts, similar to what Veldora is to Tempest. Veldora looked thoughtful before shrugging his shoulders. Maybe, but I still don't want to get into a fight with those two. Ever. Veldora said before shuddering slightly. They seriously gave Veldora some serious trauma. Alright, let me scan your existence points now, said Rimuru. However, for some reason, he was looking at the screen frozen. So, what is it, Rimuru? Asked Veldora. Wow, I didn't expect that. Rimuru whispered. I sighed. Come on, get on with it, don't you have a ceremony to begin? Alright. Your existence points is 37,527,193. Said Rimuru. I'm not quite sure whether that is good or bad, seeing as I don't have many people to compare it to. I would need to meet Guy in person again and attempt to analyze him to come up with his existence points, and who knows, he may be able to block Odin's analysis.